So rather than read or have the same audio read at the beginning, we're going to promote Being Family by Scott Keith. Was that reversed on your screen?
No, I got it.
It
I
says
can
Being
read it.
Family. It's backwards for me. I don't know.
Interesting. No, it's
Oh,
right side right.
all right. Here, I'm just going to open to a random
Hey,
page.
man, for our Hebrew, Persian speakers and Arabic speakers, it's right side right. It's
There you
left
go.
side left.
So I'm just rather than read an endorsement this week, I'm just going to read. I opened to page 51,
There we go.
and the title of this paragraph or this section is "The Church Needs Babies." The church should not ignore this trend, nor should we shame it. We should tell a better story, a truer story, one that sees motherhood and fatherhood not as obstacles to personal fulfillment, but as the very shape of our calling, one that teaches young men and women that their lives are not meant to terminate in self-expression, but to be poured out in love, that babies are not accessories, but blessings, that to receive a child is to participate in the generosity of our God. So I'll just keep going for a little bit.
Beautiful.
So let's name what many are afraid to say out loud. Churches are getting smaller because families are getting smaller or disappearing altogether. Yeah, that's what I like about Scott. That's just straight up, right? Straightforward. It's exactly, and it's true. Everybody, it's like the elephant in the room thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why can't we just talk about why your children aren't married or why they're not bearing children? You know?
Well, I almost sent this to you yesterday because it came up. St. John Chrysostom said, "A generation of Christian mothers can change the world."
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's easy to remember. It's a great quote. A generation of Christian mothers can change the world.
So X this morning had they have the little headlines on the side, which are geared for me. They're my headlines.
Right.
And one was that the rush of male converts to Orthodoxy has caused a dating problem. That was the headline.
Interesting.
Because the women aren't there.
Oh, sure.
So it's like now we have these young men, who came in through jujitsu or something, somehow became Orthodox by wrestling. Sorry, not wrestling, rolling.
Well, it's wrestling. Who are we wrestling against?
Yeah.
Right. Ask the question. Spiritually, what are they actually wrestling against?
Right.
Not only are they wrestling with God, that's why they come and talk to me, because they know I'm a pastor, but they're also wrestling with powers and principalities because they are disenfranchised by culture. They feel that they are out of step, that they're unstuck from culture, and they can't communicate or interact or be present with the people around them that are their own age, their peer group.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're physically manifesting. Again, this is the symbolism stuff, right? That they're physically embodying a spiritual problem, a spiritual wrestling match.
That's a good connection because I was prepared to talk about pornography again this week, if you wanted to, but we're not. We'll do that another time. The preparation's there. But the one thing that I found, I did a deep patristic search, is for lust, lack of chastity, they all unanimously say fasting is the
well, that's what chastity is.
Right, but bottle like fasting from food.
Yeah.
So they're like the lusts of the flesh are consistent, whether it's lusting with the eyes, lusting with the stomach, whatever it is.
Yes.
And it's just interesting because we have that in our catechism: fasting and bodily preparation for fine outward training. Right. So you're looking at this and you're like, we're wrestling, but it's a sign of like I'm wrestling with who God is, who I am, powers and principalities, as you said.
Right.
And you're taking it seriously, and to do it not just in the mind, but to do it with the body.
Yes, right.
And I think, like a bodily affliction, then we think like the answer is a spiritual exercise.
Right. Well, and I reflect on this often, actually. My wife and I have this conversation because, to the point, when I get home from the gym and I've showered and I'm ready to eat dinner, it's usually 8:30. And at 9 o'clock every day, every night, 9 p.m., my sweet tooth kicks in. It's like a clock, right?
Yeah,
I know it's 9 just because my brain's
it's the worst possible time.
We need something salty, crunchy, tangy, sweet, squishy, all these things, right? I need like a power bomb of all these flavors and textures. And it always causes me to reflect back on when I used to smoke pot and you get the munchies.
Yeah.
Because you say to yourself, well, I'm just going to smoke, a joint and then, or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're eating, whatever you're eating, and then you're drinking whatever you're drinking. And in that sense, it really is kind of a gateway drug, not necessarily to like crack or heroin, but a gateway drug in the sense of a door opening up to further gluttony. And so it's not necessarily, well, if I smoke this, it's bad for me. It's if I smoke this, the door opens up to gluttony. and a lack of chastity, a lack of fasting or self-control,
I
self-discipline.
mean, that is what snacking is.
Right. Snacking is that, right?
It's a lack of discipline.
When you're high, it's just elevated, right? That you know, and then what happens is you munch out, you eat, you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning with a stomach ache because you ate too much and you can't digest it because you ate it too late in the evening and you're sleeping with it. And there's all these consequences the next day. They're basically hangovers from overindulging, from a lack of self-control, from a lack of discipline. And a lot of the young guys, the young men in particular that join the Orthodox Church that I know, that is the key for them is self-discipline and self-control, because their peer group they see as being completely lascivious. And so they're turned off by, they are, because they're turned off then by kind of serial monogamy, serial sexual monogamy, where you're just jumping from bed to bed, or just serial sexual encounters without any monogamy attached to it. And the condition, the physical, as they say, most of the guys I know are potatoes, meaning body shape. They're all potatoes. They lack the discipline to just not eat, which, by the way, is a sign of privilege.
Wasn't it the thing back
if you're obese,
couch potato?
Yeah. Like a sign of privilege is the fact that you're obese.
Yeah, like the kings.
Yeah.
It was the famous one, Eglon, right?
Yeah, Eglon, right. Up to the elbow or whatever it was.
It took in the whole sword into his belly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Well, I can't imagine, actually.
And because we've turned, and I've written about this a lot, and others have too as well, that I've been influenced by, we've taken the vices and the 7 deadly sins and turned them into virtues. Or at the very least said, you can't talk that way because it's shaming. It's something hyphen shaming, fat shaming, ableism, ageism. It's all of these things to basically say, hey, you know that thing about yourself you can't prevent, like getting older, right? Well, bringing that up is bad. No, it's not. Aging is actually can be virtuous, because we can then lean on the wisdom and the reason of our elders and say, hey, you've survived to your 60s, your 70s, your 80s.
Right.
You've lived. And even if you're not a theologian, so to speak, or a philosopher, or someone with a bunch of diplomas on the wall, you have life experience. You have graduated from the school of life. And therefore you can say things like, hey, this is my 5th climate crisis, or I've seen this politician before. I've heard this speech before. Or, hey,
we think it's just that they're callous.
Yeah.
It is a callousness of a sort.
Yeah, because they've heard it. They've been there. They've done that.
Yeah. So
you and I are we're now getting into that field ourselves at our age. And
I know somebody's going to say, okay, boomer to me at some point.
Yes, for sure. And by the way, I'm proud of that now. I'm proud that I'm getting older and grumbly and crotchety and saying, like, I can't do this anymore.
Kids these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's not music.
So you were talking about this. I think it's important because it's connected to Scott Keith and the doctrine of vocation.
Correct.
Being family. In particular, there was a picture of, I'm trying to remember who it was. She was dressed with a sleeveless gown at some awards thing, and she's 63. It's somebody who used to be like, a bombshell when she was 30 or 25.
Yeah.
Demi Moore, I think it was.
Okay.
And I think she's been on the Ozempic as well, but like her arms are not attractive.
Okay.
Because she's 63. I mean, there's some muscle tone, but she's all, it's saggy, and you know, there's some fat and stuff.
Right.
And she was getting fat shamed or whatever shamed on the social media. And the right response, a lot of people say, she's 63. She could just be grandma. It's okay. Just let her be grandma now.
Right.
And then some people are like, yeah, but grandma wore a sweater. And like, yeah, you're probably right. She'd wear a shawl or something.
Well, then if she wore a sweater to the awards show, she'd be shamed for wearing a sweater.
Yeah, I suppose.
She showed up in a sweater and sweatpants like grandma does. It would be the same response.
Yeah, you can't win, but I do.
Jennifer Love Hewitt showed up in the same thing. She's married now. She has 4 kids. So she's got mom weight. She looks like a mom, right?
Yeah.
She's still beautiful. She's naturally a beautiful person, but she's 40, 60 pounds heavier than the last time anybody saw her. And everyone said, oh my God, she's so fat now. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought we weren't fat shaming. Well, we can if she's a mother of 4 and she's happily married to a man. That's different.
How is that different?
Well, because she's married to a man and she has 4 children and she wants to be a mom and not act, which makes her public enemy number 1 in Hollywood.
Suppose. Yeah, well, to the point.
But the same thing. People came out and said, she has 4 children. Do you know what 4 children does to the human body?
Especially if it's in fairly rapid succession.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, But even again on celebrity culture, you listen to interviews with people like Henry Cavill, for example, and he'll say, if I'm not up for a role, I don't look like this.
Yeah.
Like
Takes 3 months to get in shape, right?
Right. He's like, I'm not like, I don't have 7% body fat all year round. I do this for acting parts. The rest of the year.
And we use technology to accomplish it.
100%. The rest of the year, I paint miniatures, play Warhammer, write scripts,
I've
live
heard
my
that
life.
It's like, what a nerd.
I'm just a normal guy. It's just, you're a 9 out of 10 on the scale of attractiveness.
It's the jaw.
So of course it's the jaw and the piercing eyes. I mean, look at them.
If you've got the cleft chin and the jaw, you're just like,
Again,
I wish I had masticating
there's
gum.
There's not
when
a
I was
lot of
child.
guys on earth who, when given the option of, you want to look like Brad Pitt at that age, you'd be like, no, I couldn't stand to look like Brad Pitt at that age. You're like, no, I'd kill to look like Brad Pitt in his 60s.
Yeah, he's still a very attractive
he's a
man.
silver fox, right?
And that is a difference between men and women. I acknowledge that.
Yeah, yep.
But anyway, I mean, the whole
point
was,
is this, is that, who wrote about this? It was when you're in love, that is young love, that is romantic love, that's eros. You're in love. It's very emotional. It's very of the moment. It's very then meteoric, and it's like a roller coaster. Loving is when you wake up and you say, I don't really like you right now, and I don't want to look at your face right now. But I love you and I would never leave you. That's loving someone, because when you're loving someone, you recognize that emotions are momentary, but the love that you have for this person, the love that you receive from this person is permanent.
Right.
Whereas when you're in love, those emotions become dictatorial because, right, well, we broke up because we just weren't getting along. Well, yeah, this week or this month,
right,
this season. But once spring rolls around and you hear those birds singing and you start smelling the wild dandelions growing, I guarantee you're going to be in love again. You're going to get all euphoric. But when you're young, especially, you only know being in love.
There's only one gear.
Exactly. You're right. You're at 60 by the end of the driveway. You're not even in the street yet. Versus when you're loving someone, that is, today you're the most beautiful woman on earth. You're Helen of Troy. I'd go to war for you. And then in the very next breath, you'd say, I'm going to leave because I need to not be around you for a while. Now, when you see older married couples, it's often the case that when you listen to their dialogue, it's sometimes you go, do you guys hate each other? Right? Or at a funeral, when you do a funeral for an old married couple and one of them's dead and they're crying and they're distraught, and you're thinking to yourself, I've never heard you exchange a kind word with your spouse in the time I've known you. Why are you crying? Well, because we've been married 80 years. And now my best friend, my partner for these 80 years, the person that I raised children with and I farmed with and, everything, they're not here anymore. And you don't understand, like, the reason we were the way we are is because we've been together since we were 12 years old. And now we're in our late 80s, early 90s, and I've never been without this person. And so what you see is the 60th, 70th, 80th year of our marriage. But when we were young, we were in love too. But after all the things you go through in life, you can't be in love. You have to love and be loving and be caught up in the love. And as a family, I believe it's the same thing. I'm sure that's what Scott's getting at, is that, well, one, in Bible class, we're going through the table of duties in the catechism. And the thing that we actually spent a lot of time talking about the past 2 weeks is just the introduction where it says the holy orders, right? These are holy orders and positions. And I said, okay, before we look, let's talk about what is a holy order, so that when we get to that part of this, we can step back and say, oh, that's a holy order? Because, of course, husband, wife, parent are all holy orders.
And famously, Luther basically took monastic life and put it in the home.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also then, when we get to civil government as a holy order and position, we can then have a very sober conversation about tyranny. And how do we define a good king versus a bad king? Hlafwerden in that tradition, shepherding in that tradition, versus what is a tyrant then? And then you can go to Romans 12 and say, okay, if the government holds the sword to punish evil, but the government itself is tyrannical and evil, Does that change the holy order? No, it doesn't, because it's God establishing an order, an office. And within that office, evil men can still serve God by punishing evil. But there's going to be a lot of blood and fallout and damage done. For example, in Iran, that government is bloodthirsty, genocidal. It's a death cult. They murder their own people on a regular basis. They don't hide it because they don't need to.
Which one? We're talking about the IRGC, whatever it's called?
Yeah. But then on the other side, you have the two groups of people that we're not allowed, well, one group of people we can't talk about without being demonetized or being accused of being anti-something. And they're also genocidal and a death cult and have been accused of a whole bunch of genocidal human rights abuses in their country towards other people.
The enemy of the enemy is, they're not actually that different from each
And
other.
so it's not a matter of the lesser of two evils, but rather we have two genocidal death cults that are warring with each other. And the people that are suffering are the people, the citizens. So then look at Romans 12, look at the table of duties on civil government and what we owe our leaders, fourth commandment stuff too, right? Parents and others as an authority. And then you ask, okay, but on one side, they are tyrannical and evil and a death cult. But on this side, they're evil and tyrannical and a death cult. And we're caught in the middle.
Are we the baddies? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so what do we do? And the answer is, well, you suffer. Unfortunately, you suffer.
Yeah,
and the Christian church in Iran is suffering, just like the Christian church in Iraq is suffering, in Syria, in Beirut, in Lebanon, in Israel. The Christian church is suffering. They just blew up the Church of St. Peter, right? Or not the Church of St. Peter in Israel, the tomb of St. Peter. They just blew it up.
I thought that was in Rome. Did they disinter him?
I don't know. There's one in Israel.
Okay. Well,
they blew it up the other day, yesterday.
Well, how many body parts?
They blew it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy site, they blew it up and said, I don't care.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? So you look at it, okay, it's still a holy order though.
Property development.
That's right. Yes, it's real estate development and it benefits everybody. But again, within the family, like we read about previously, the family is the society of society, because if you don't like your leaders, if your leaders are tyrants, if they are, blood drinking, satanic, PDF files, well, those came from families. We all come from families.
Started somewhere. Yeah.
Faithful pastors came from faithful Christian families. Unfaithful pastors came from faithful Christian families too. Like, there's things happening. That's why in the table of duties in our catechism, it starts in the pulpit with the preacher and his mouth, and then the hearer in the pews, and then it works its way out in a society.
Right. The foundation.
Right. And then we get into parents and workers, and then we get into government and so on. But that means then that these holy orders, such as parent, is established by God as a holy thing, set apart. And if it's set apart, and that's what we've been talking about, is then shouldn't we hold parents to a higher authority? Because they themselves have been called to a higher authority, because it's a godly order. And what's been interesting for us then is in the Bible class, when we're talking about this and the light's going on for people, they're starting to recognize, oh, we actually have a pretty good standard, a hierarchical standard of husband, wife, parent, children, worker, employer, government, citizen.
Sounds like a nice place to live.
It sounds like a great place to live inside the pages of a book written and then you have to take into consideration Luther is a monarchist. He's living in the 1500s.
That's what I said this morning. I was reading all the things that Putin does for food quality in Russia. And it's like, if only we could do that here, but we just need a better despot. And
right.
But the same, we've talked about, I don't know if we've talked about El Salvador. It's the same story. I mean, the guy's basically a dictator, but
he's doing right by the people.
They have property rights. They have, he put all the mob guys, or not mob guys, what do you call it? Gang, the cartels. They're all in prison. He's got thousands and thousands of people in prison. It's the safest place on earth to live as far as death rate right now.
Correct. Right.
But it took a tyrant to do it. Yeah. You're like, well, is he really a tyrant then? Just because he has kind of, monocratic
well, that's like,
rule.
Is John Wick a bad guy or a good guy? Well, it depends on which side of his gun you're on. Right. What's the difference between a freedom fighter and a revolutionary? Well, which end of the gun you're on?
Yeah.
A friend on Facebook had a great comment to something I wrote last week, which is the victors write history, but the survivors are the ones who tell the myths. So if myth is the Joseph Campbell, that myth is the true history of the world, because history is journalism, and we all know how much we can trust journalists, which is great. And he said that back in the 80s. Joseph Campbell said that. But it's true. History is written by the victor. Great. That means that the guy who wins gets to determine who the bad guys are. That's why Greece are the good guys and Persia are the bad guys.
It goes to the spoils go to the victor.
Correct. But it's the survivors that tell the true history. That is the mythology.
There's
And in a
always two stories
sense,
at least, right?
well, in a sense, then one language is how you revolt against an occupying army or a conquering army, is you retain your language because they try to get rid of that immediately. And the other way is to tell the truth, but you have to tell it in a way that's subversive, which is through stories. What does Jesus do? He tells parables. Those are subversive stories. And every time the religious leaders listen to a parable and the light goes off above their head and they say, I think he's talking about us, right? Or the disciples say, we don't understand your parables. Yeah, I know, because I have to tell the truth in stories because it's too big for you to handle. It's too much. And so there is, I think, that dynamic, that tension, because within stories, or within families, you have your stories and you have your catechesis and your indoctrination, positive and negative, like we were talking about. And when it comes to pornography or eating or gambling or shopping or sports, whatever it is that you glut on a regular basis, that your lust takes you there, and you open the door to that black wolf of sin. That's usually then also where you're the weakest and the most vulnerable to temptation and sin and the evil one. And then what we've done in the churches is largely chosen to ignore all of that so that no one's self-esteem is hurt. I went off on this last week in my sermon about love, how God makes himself edible so that we can actually literally consume love. We can receive love and eat it.
You are what you eat.
You are what you eat. And yet this point of what consumes you, right? What you focus on becomes your God, but what you focus on most, you eventually become. So that if you're focused on money and success through money, you'll notice those types of people will say things like, this is my $350,000 car. Oh, do you like this watch? It cost me $28,000. Oh, do you like my wife? Yeah, I paid for her facelift. That was $2,000. They literally become money, because that is their focus.
Or that's how they define everything.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. They become the thing that they're focused on. They become the physical embodiment of money. That is literally like the love of money, because that is the text we were reading in the part about bishops, pastors, and preachers from Timothy. They can't be a lover of money. They can't be a lover of money,
because it's the root of all kinds of evil.
Exactly. Yep. Love, not use. Love, and that's what we talk to the most about is use.
Love means to serve, right? So
right.
You're either serving it or you're being used by it, either way.
Yeah.
Right?
The proper usage of any kind of currency is to serve, to give in the service of the other. Love of money is the dragon that hoards his gold and says, I know if 1 farthing is taken from my pile, my mountain of gold. That's dragon behavior. That's draconian behavior.
Hold on to it so tightly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we've talked about the agape love, when it turns dark, is draconian. It's dragon hoarding its gold. That's literally love, because the dragon in folklore, originally dragons were dwarves originally, and the dwarves loved treasure so much they became dragons. That's why dragons and dwarves lived under the earth. And then throughout the centuries, it spread out not just to then the dwarves, but to all people, all men, so that in the old folktales, all dragons were once men who were devoured by their own greed. They became the thing that they focused on most. That is, they became the love of money, which is a dragon. They became satanic.
Yeah, and that is one of the things when it talks about childbearing. I mean, when we talk about childbearing, people, it's pointed out in social media. I think it's actually a self-fulfilling kind of narrative. It's like, oh, well, children are so expensive. And then it's like, oh, well, we can't afford children. I'm like, you're just telling yourself that. One, you don't even know. Two, the things that they tell you, that it's, each child is 1.2 million or whatever it is in their lifetime. It's like, as if you could ever even approximate that.
Well, I tell you what, you come with me to a hospice visit and we'll put $1 million in cash in someone's hand as they're dying. and then we'll bring one of their children and put their children's hand, and you tell me which one is wealth. You ask them which one is more valuable to you.
Right. So I mean, again, you're determining the value of a thing.
That's dragon. You're a dragon devouring its own children.
You say, wait a minute, child is a blessing from God. That's enough. That's all you need to know.
And here's the foxiness of Tolkien once again in the Hobbit. Since we're thinking about this, I didn't really put this together, but it's all kind of floating in the background. This is all,
by the way, this whole conversation is to promote being family by
That's
Scott
right,
Keith.
100%. And if it were written by J.R.R. Tolkien or something, or Sam was here with us again,
would promote.
But Smaug can hypnotize people with his voice, and he can dazzle them. He bedazzles them. He charms them with the shine, because Tolkien talks about how the gold and the treasures, they shine in the darkness, right? They have a glamour to them. Glamour in the sense of like casting a spell. And so Bilbo starts to fall under the spell of Smaug because he's hiding, he's got the ring on, right? And they're doing their back and forth repartee. And Smaug is keeping him talking because Smaug is hypnotizing Bilbo, and Bilbo starts to feel it all of a sudden. And that's when he runs and he grabs the cup and he runs away. And I'm like, oh, he grabbed a cup and then ran out of interesting. And then the armies fight over it. But the point is that Tolkien is going back and saying, okay, we have all these Germanic and Scandinavian and other legends about dragons and the Horde and stuff like that. But being foxy, he realizes that all of those are downstream from the story about this seraphim that goes into the garden and tempts a woman to eat the fruit. And that's the thing about the devil that's foxy about the way Tolkien puts this together, is that for him, dragons can they can enchant through the spelling of words, right? They cast spells through their words. And that's essentially what's happening to Eve, is that when she's interacting with the serpent, with the seraphim, he's casting a spell over her. He's literally spelling out, surely God doesn't mean, surely God wouldn't. That's casting a spell. Because how do self-righteous people destroy righteous people? Through the casting of spells. That is, well, I'm doing a good thing and I'm a righteous person and I'm doing this for the sake of God. And now I'm going to convince you to follow me. And then you step back and say, how did we get here? How did this happen? How did this person go from being one thing to another thing? How do we go from light to darkness? How do we go from charity to selfishness? Spell casting. And that's really what the seraphim, as Ezekiel talks about, that the devil is a seraphim. He's a flaming serpent who is jewel encrusted. His clothing is basically jewels, his scales, right? Well, what do we know about Smaug? Smaug has been laying on his hoard so long that his underbelly is just all of the jewels and gems that have been like pushed into his own flesh. And that's how Bard is finally able to see the hole that he shoots the arrow through. But all of that is Tolkien basically saying it within folklore is the truth about the evil one. And he just pulls it out. And those who have eyes to see and discernment, you go, okay, there's something more going on here in Tolkien. He's a devout Roman Catholic. He's a Christian theologian on top of a folklorist. He's getting to some really deep truths in the midst of these quote unquote kids' tales. And so when the family is attacked, I commonly see it that way. It's not a frontal assault, like let's all go to hell together. Because of course, no family, no parent is going to just sacrifice their child to some false god. You know, hey, I need your children's blood, right? Or I need your children's life through their blood. Instead, it's going to be sideways. It's going to be a glamour. It's going to be spell casting. Well, we're on our phones all the time and we're on screens all the time and we're being bombarded with spells. Do this, don't do that. Eat this, don't eat that. You know, take this, don't take that. Do this for your kids. Don't do that for your kids. If you do this, you're a bad parent. But if you do this, you're a great parent. And then every month it changes because these people are monetizing it.
It's all at the surface, right? It's not at the ground level. It's actually not really things that
it's
matter.
not root. Yeah. It's not the roots.
Yeah. It's not getting to the root. Right.
Because you can't, because that's the thing, right? A tree to produce fruit needs roots. And so what we'll focus on instead of the root is we'll focus on the fruits.
Right.
And say, well, why aren't these apples growing? Well, it must be the branches, right? It must be the chlorophyll in the leaves. It must be because of the lack of pollinating insects versus, well, what's happening to the root structure, right? Is there a deep root structure to this? And does it get what it needs as far as nutrients that pass through up the trunk through the branches into the fruit. What's going on here? And so again, like my beloved teacher says, we in the West are about 3 miles wide and 3 inches deep, when we need to be 3 miles deep and 3 inches wide.
All right. Should we play some music to get us started here?
Let's do that. Yeah, that was a good break.
Yeah.
Technology told us to take a break.
Yeah, we'll put that at the front end. Begin show live. There we go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Chiarta mille falcha. 100,000 welcomes to all of you today. This is the Banned Books Podcast. Grateful member of the 1517 Podcast Network. Go to the website, 1517.org, for all of your gospel needs. Go check out is it now out? Being Family by Scott Keith?
Yes.
Or is it coming still?
No, I have my whole
as
box
of this recording
over there.
Oh, that's right. You ordered them. So you can go get Being Family.
Mm-hmm.
Can we call it a sequel to Being Dad? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think there's already a sequel planned to this. It'll be like Being Church, probably.
Fantastic.
Makes sense, right? Dad,
Yeah.
family, church. I don't know, maybe. Every time I read it, it says Being Family, but it looks to me like Being Fancy.
Hey, man, you can be both. You can be bougie, right? Faithful yet bougie. But go check that out. Good stuff there, as always. Scott's great on this topic in particular.
He did a lot of work on it. I heard one of his workshops that he did on this, basically the economic and sociological aspects of it. Because it's a kind of a popular thing, but apart from faith. So, I mean, there's they call it the natalist movement. You know, Elon Musk famously, right? I'm going to have as many children as I can. He's like,
who is currently with Larry Fink and Donald Trump in China?
Everybody, pretty much. I mean,
yeah,
anybody with money.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's actually controlling the world.
Right. That's a distinction without a difference.
Right. Exactly. Yes. For our listeners, if you don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even have to talk about the Illuminati anymore because they're kind of out and about. They don't hide anymore behind the scenes. They're just there. And proud of it, it seems. But nonetheless, we peasants continue with our lives, faithful and just, and serving Christ in righteousness, innocence, and blessedness till the kingdom comes in its fullness. So today on the show,
as you do,
we are going to talk about UFOs.
Really
Unidentified Freudian opinions. Right? But no, it's been a topic for a long time, actually. We all grew up with it. If you're Gen X, you grew up with UFOs. And if you're boomers, you grew up because the movies and TV shows in the 50s and 60s and
E.T., well, before that, it was...
Well, you and I were...
Close Encounters,
we came of age...
Right? Yeah,
well, you and I came of age when sci-fi wasn't considered B-movie schlock.
Oh, that's true.
Star Wars was the thing, right?
2001, then Star Wars, and yeah.
Well, no, 2001 was considered an outlier because it was Kubrick. It was very heady, highbrow, sciencey.
It didn't really have aliens.
Artistic.
It didn't have aliens.
And it didn't have aliens. It had a space baby. And
whatever that was, yes.
No one understands the ending of that movie.
No.
Versus when Star Wars came out, and he was very open about, this is from the Flash Gordon serials I grew up watching, the old, all the old sci-fi stuff, and Westerns, and Akira Kurosawa movies. It's all this stuff, right? And Star Wars hit. Nobody expected it to be a big hit. And that then all of a sudden made it okay to make big budget science fiction fantasy movies.
Right.
And so, as you said, by the time you hit the 80s, I mean, it was the golden age for us as children. That was the golden age of kids' movies because it was E.T., Close Encounters, Last Starfighter, which I just watched the thing about again last night. Love The Last Starfighter. But I mean, just so many things. Like, it's an endless slew of fantasy and sci-fi movies.
I suppose you had plenty of aliens on Star Trek, and that was late 60s, right?
But that was camp. That wasn't considered like a
3
serious,
seasons,
legit.
right? 3 seasons.
Yeah. And you look at Batman, for example, right? Superhero movies, superhero shows weren't even considered serious fare until Marvel, really. And not even like with the Blade movies, which were still like Blade 1 and 2 were big hits. They made a lot of money, but even that still wasn't considered like, okay, now we can go forward with Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and these things. That was a big gamble at the time for again, Lord of the Rings was a big gamble
I
at
suppose,
the time.
yeah.
They literally took a loan out against the value of their own studio to Lionsgate to get that movie made, the trilogy, $750 million. They leveraged their entire everything. They leveraged everything to get that made.
Bet, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Which is why you can never remake that or even come close, because as we know, when you're under pressure and you're forced to make creative decisions with no money, genius comes out of that. Genius, diamonds come from that pressure. But when you have all the money and all the time in the world, well, the Odyssey is coming out. Please don't go see it. It's going to be a travesty. Don't. So the trailers, there's 2 trailers.
Yeah, yeah. And you know why?
I do. I've watched plenty of breakdowns.
It's just best picture. It's just best picture nominations, and they have.
Well, no, I watched that this morning.
Yeah, and the DEI
checks all the boxes.
Yep.
That the Academy says if you want a best picture, you have to do all these things. And the translation that he's using, or at the very least says influenced him, is truly hideous.
What's her name?
Truly.
Mary something? I can't remember.
No, it's Emily Wilson.
Emily, that's it. Yep.
I think it's Emily Wilson.
Yeah.
Truly.
I thought he's just he's just trying to trigger everybody for free promotion. I'm not sure that's true.
No, he sold tickets before he put out trailers, which is genius. That's what he did.
That is.
Remember,
genius.
the tickets went on sale last year.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
so everybody
for the
bought their
70
tickets,
and the IMAX.
And the people that bought their tickets are making videos now about the trailers and saying, well, I have a ticket, but I don't want to go see the movie now. Yeah. It's a bait and switch.
Maybe. I mean, it's obviously a demonstration of hubris. And Nolan probably thinks pretty highly of himself, it seems.
I've always said he's the Arthur C. Clarke of movie directors.
Sure.
That is,
yeah, that's good.
His concepts and his plots are fantastic, but he cannot develop. He doesn't understand character development. He just can't do it. He's incapable.
Maybe.
Arthur C. Clarke's novels are great for concepts, but he can't. Character development is beyond him.
I'd say more Asimov than Clarke.
Sure.
I mean, Asimov has that problem, definitely.
Which I find Asimov incredibly boring.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason why. You just don't care.
Yeah.
You just don't care about the people.
But when this was written, then this text that we're going to read today,
we should tell it what it is.
Well, we're getting in there. We're getting there.
Okay.
Right? Relax, dude. Relax.
I'm always relaxed. Look at me. I'm drinking coffee. I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's Christopher Gillespie.
Chilling and willing, maxing and relaxing in the morning.
I'm Donovan Riley. There we go. We're very fluid today.
This is episode 439.
There we go.
Or is it?
Things are happening. Things are happening.
Things are happening. Well, I can't actually see you. I know you're there. This is the wrong camera, but it's working, so whatever.
There is nothing that you need to see. I have a face for radio. So.
And we're not live streaming because I've had so many challenges.
Right. So. But this is Father Seraphim Rose, Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. It's a very famous text within the Orthodox tradition, within the Orthodox Church. I read it
American Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
I think we want to be clear there.
There we go.
Yeah.
I read it about a year and a half ago. I think it was probably Symbolic World that I heard it referenced.
Yep.
Probably there.
Yeah.
And read it and thought, oh, that's interesting. I haven't really read a theological opinion on UFOs. Not really, not modern. And then you just previously pointed out to me that there is other stuff on this topic.
Yeah.
But to me then, and obviously I'm not claiming that I am omniscient or something, but I'd never heard about other UFO writings.
Well, I mean, the speculation
not
about
like
UFO,
legitimate ones, theological ones.
This is not going to be surprising that people, in their writings theologians have entertained the idea of life elsewhere, right? And then tried to deal with what are the theological implications of that. Even in our tradition, I have a whole bunch of it here, but in our tradition, Philip Melanchthon did. Luther didn't, it seems, but Melanchthon did. In his Initia Doctrinae Physicae, whatever that is the most, he was opposed to the idea. His 3 objections were: 1, inhabitants of other worlds could not know Christ. It's a pretty good justification right there. Christ's redemption would require repetition, and that conflicts with the Scripture's own teaching once and for all. And then Genesis 2 implies creation is complete, no additional inhabited worlds. So that was Melanchthon's argument in whatever that was. I mean, somewhere between 1549 and 1550 is when that work came out. So, I mean, that's our own tradition.
Yeah.
Luther didn't bother speculating. Aquinas, though, before him, said that God could have created other worlds, but did not. And so anybody who followed in the Thomas strain, basically you go with Thomas, right? If Thomas said not possible, then you just said, yeah, Thomas said it wasn't possible. So that's that. But then things really do change after that. And by the time you get to like somebody like C.S. Lewis, who we've read a lot of, very open. Did we ever read Religion and Rocketry, or did we just talk about it?
I don't remember. We definitely didn't read it. I don't remember talking.
I know
about
we
it
don't.
either, though.
We probably don't need to read any more C.S. Lewis, but we will.
Right.
But he deals with it because of all the crazy stuff with the rocket people, and he interacts with that. And Lewis also had he talks. I think he has a work entitled something like something with the occult. He talks about occultism. And what does he mean by occult? Because it's connected to UFO, it's connected to demonology, it's connected to what Seraphim Rose talks about. What do we mean by occult? We have to do it.
Well, one, cultist behavior.
No, occult. O-C-C.
Occult, right. Well, I'm saying though, cult, the word itself, cultic, cultist, culture, it's a behavior by a group, right? It's agreed upon behavior.
But occult usually means something like it's related to alchemy.
Yeah.
Things not seen, I think. So I don't know how we get there. Because it's secret. Oh, maybe that's it. A cult is a secret, usually some.
Yeah, it's a secret society.
So these are things that are covered over, that are hidden. And if they're covered over or hidden, this is the God not revealed, right?
Well, I could say it this way: an occult is a secret way of behaving. There's behavior that's being done in secret, not publicly, whereas culture is a public way of behavior that's shared.
Right.
And then that ties into piety and discipline. We talked about how those words are related, that it's a way of behavior. Occults behave in a certain way privately, but not publicly.
Yeah. We do nothing in secret.
Right, like a sex cult usually is something that you find out about after the fact.
And it's really occult then, right?
Yeah.
And often is connected to some kind of
This is why
supernatural
John
stuff.
is clear about this in his epistle, but also we in the church say, let everything be done in the light. That is, everything be done publicly. That's why we are called to publicly preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's actually in our call documents, that we are publicly,
we do nothing
public
in secret.
ministers of the gospel.
Right.
We're public preachers.
Right.
So that nothing is done in secret, because secret societies, what is done in darkness? Well, what is done in darkness? Thievery, lying, gossiping, underhanded things, malevolent things. And what do occults do? Typically, occults are malevolent because it's done in secret. And
it deals with secret things.
And it deals with secret things.
Right.
So not necessarily alchemy, but hermeticism, for example, esotericism. Kabbalism, modern understandings of Kabbalism.
What's the famous lady that did all the spirit cooking?
Marina Abramovich.
I can't believe you know that name. No, I do actually believe you know that name. We've heard it many times. Yes.
I was, this morning.
This morning even. Okay.
Just this morning. Yeah.
Famous, Lady Gaga, right?
Well, I got hooked up with a guy via Instagram who used to be a fashion photographer. And he was and videographer. He was deep in the fashion world. He's French, very, very good looking French man too. So not only was he a photographer, but also then a part of that world. And then he had a conversion experience and saw patterns, started to see the patterns. And it was very difficult for him to leave that world because he was so deeply entrenched in it, but he couldn't ignore what he was seeing. And again, that kind of like I got to get out of here kind of feeling. So it was like, I'm going to lose all my money. I'm going to lose all my contacts. I'm going to lose all my friendships, all these things. Like he lost everything.
Yeah.
And so now he has his own channel where he's like, look at this and look at the patterns. So you'd love him.
That sounds great.
Patterns.
Yeah.
But it is in that sense then of he's seeing like the occult is right there in front of our face. Like they're doing occultic practices in front of us, but yet we all accept it as, well, she's just weird because she's Hollywood.
It's like the French Olympics ceremony, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like normies can't accept.
That wasn't the Lord's Supper. And you're like,
correct.
Sorry.
He said it before he changed it. He deleted the tweet where he actually wrote it.
Yeah, that he was satirizing the supper. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
or Da Vinci's supper or whatever. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah.
Again, upstream from your surface level occultic ritual is the higher truth of what's happening here. But something I read last night, that the reason that people complain so much is because they don't know how to pray.
Yeah.
Or wait, I wrote that last night.
You wrote it. You read it or you wrote it? Okay.
I wrote it after reading something in an old poem that was talking about why people don't pray more. And yeah, the more you complain, the less you pray. It's kind of a yin-yang-y kind of thing. It's like, yeah, the consequence of not praying is you complain constantly about the things that you're supposed to be praying for.
Yeah.
And that will lead you then to doubt God and question God. And therefore, if you lack spiritual discernment, spiritual wisdom, if the Spirit isn't acting to open your eyes to see, then you look at the Last Supper and the mockery of it, and you say, well, no, no, you're reading into it too much. And this goes back to what you said about surface details, surface level seeing of things.
Mm-hmm.
And most people want to stay there because it's safe, is what it comes down to. It's safe.
Right.
And versus the alternative, which is, well, she's wearing a meat suit because she's a witch and she's promoting sacrifice.
And so it's a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality that she's
But I like her music. Okay. Now what?
Yeah,
this goes back.
But music's the same way. I mean, we haven't talked about theology of music.
You want to talk about spell casting?
But yeah, the power. I mean, Luther acknowledges this: is that music, next to the Word of God, has that kind of power over us. You know, and I was saying it to somebody yesterday who was talking about the music playing and the Muzak playing in the doctor's office, and she's like, "Oh, I hate this song, but I can't get it out of my head." And I said, "Well, you know, it's like war drums." She's like, war drums? I'm like, you know, like before you go to battle and they're pounding the drums and everybody just gets their heartbeats in sync and they're all fired up and they're ready to go to war. She's like, oh yeah, it is like that. You know, and so, I mean, we've known this for a long time, that the power that sound and sorts of things, you know, that can have over us. So.
Well, we don't want to talk about it.
Why not, do you think?
What we were talking about previously with gluttony and chastity and sobriety and self-discipline and self-control. That is, as pastors especially, we encounter this on a regular basis, which is, I want to do stuff, but I don't want to accept the consequences of what I'm doing.
Well, so that's why we keep it at surface level.
Yeah.
Because then we don't have to engage.
Right. If you find out your favorite actor, actress, favorite singer, songwriter, performer is in secret just a really bad human being, and not even a cultic, just in the sense of just morally a bad person or just a selfish, you know, tramples on other people, narcissistic personality. You don't want to know that you're supporting that kind of a person. And yet you will simultaneously rejoice when someone famous is toppled. They get caught in some scandal.
Yeah.
Because it's not your person, right? It's not you, the person you worship, your God, your icon, literally your icon, your star that you worship, you Chaldean. It's not your star, it's somebody else's star, and that can fall out of the sky.
Right.
We don't care as long as it's somebody else, right? If it's my star, oof, that's problematic. But if it's somebody else's, whatever, I don't care, right? If you're a Swiftie and someone makes fun of Taylor Swift, you're going to lose about 400 followers in 3 hours. As I found out one day.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you had the Gina Carano moment, and then you had the Taylor Swift moment.
Yeah, man. I'm
way up, way down.
I've had a good 5 years online.
It's a roller coaster.
Simultaneously, then if you're a hater of Taylor Swift or you don't like Taylor Swift and you find out these things and you say, well, no, I agree with that. So I rejoice at her being exposed, her downfall. And rather than step back and say, well, why are we celebrating or rejoicing over these strangers?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know these people. We don't know what they're like. We just know the information that's out there. And maybe I shouldn't actually worship someone that I don't know, that isn't a real person. Maybe that's not healthy. Maybe that's not good.
To our icon conversation 2 episodes ago, right?
Yes, 100%.
You know, by worship here, you don't necessarily mean what belongs only to a divinity, only to God.
Right. Right.
But, you know, like that reverent, like fall on your face, you know, I'm not worthy kind of worship. Wayne and Garth.
Well, I had this conversation with my wife the other day that even when I know, and I mean, I know, like objectively, I know I haven't sinned against somebody who is mad at me, I still doubt myself because I know how easy it is to fall into self-righteousness because I've been there. I've done it.
Right.
So even if I am convinced and other people say, you're not wrong, this isn't on you, this is that other person, they're making it up or something, or they're just not reading the room, they're not seeing it correctly, I still step back and say, well, but we can all be wrong. You know that, right? We could all be wrong.
I mean, it's just, I don't remember what the logical rule is, but either you're right, I'm wrong, or we're both wrong, but we both can't be right.
Right. And again, you taught me that valuable lesson. If I'm right, praise be to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
But let's not make this about me, because that's when you stand at the front of the synagogue and say, thank God I'm not like them.
Well, so that's I think that's the major point. Because we were talking about before we went live with the family conversation, or whatever, the front end of the show.
Yeah.
That at the foundation, I don't believe that most people think Jesus Christ is Lord of Lords and God of gods.
No.
And that he is in all things and through all things.
No, it's too much.
That he's in your neighbor, that he's in, and that he's acting through you.
Yes.
Because it seems like puppetry, I suppose.
Well, and if he's not, then who is? Because this goes back to what you said about Melanchthon and Luther and the whole thing about family society, even UFOs, which is, we used to understand that there were different dimensions. That's what they're called nowadays. They weren't called that. They were called other worlds.
People described it different ways. Sometimes.
Well, other worlds. You have
levels, right? Levels of heaven.
You have Middle Earth, Midgard. You have the underworld and you have the overworld. You have the higher heavens and the seven heavens. And then you have the seven.
And the foundations of the earth. And
the pillars of the earth, the foundations. And it was understood, like my area, right, that the Shay, the Fae, the Tua De Danann, they are otherworldly people. We would call them spirits. But they were once physical. They're liminal beings. So they have a body, but they're also spiritual. And at a certain point in time, due to the evil of men, they chose no longer to be physically available. And so they appear now liminally, that is spiritually, as light, but they're not physical, because they know that we'll lay hands upon them and that we'll abuse them and attack them, because that's what happened in the past, to drive them back into their world and to shut the doors.
So, so today's 1517 on 1517.org, the Christian History Almanac, which I proudly edit, is on a man. I'm sure you know this guy because he's a Scotsman. Wait a minute. The wrong episode's on the front of the page. No, not May 17th. What? It's not May 17th. What is today?
You fools. What have you done?
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a guy he told his brother that he had a vision that the Fae were going to come and get him. And there was going to be an apparition at his son's baptism. And he said, you have to throw the spear or whatever over my head when the apparition appears. Right. Well, the apparition appears. He doesn't throw the knife or whatever. And then the guy disappears and they never found his body. And it happens to be the guy who was kind of, on the edge. He wrote a whole book on the fairy as a Christian.
Interesting.
And I thought, Donovan needs to read this guy because he has a whole book and he was a Scotsman.
It's not George MacDonald.
No, it's not George MacDonald.
Okay.
Interesting. He was the first to translate the Psalms into Gaelic.
Oh, interesting.
So, obviously, there's lots of
Scotch.
Yeah, Gaelic. Right. No, I knew you would make that distinction for me. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it's been pounded in my head.
I'm just quoting what Dan said. Okay, here it is.
Just the messenger.
The Scottish. They call him the fairy minister.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
Robert Kirk.
Oh, no, I don't know that name, actually.
Yeah.
Robert Kirk.
1692. Okay. Yeah, it's a fun story.
Okay.
It made me think of you, and I'm like,
definitely check that out.
And so his treatise is called The Secret Common, Wealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies. Yeah.
Right on.
We should read that on the show.
Robert Kirk, huh?
Robert Kirk, yeah. Yeah, so he was kind of like the UFO guy of his time. That's what Dan said in the show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not the Bob Lazar.
Not the Bob Lazar. No, actually he said Michael Heiser. Did you ever meet Michael Heiser? He was at the first couple October conferences for 1517.
I probably did. I just don't remember meeting him.
Unfortunately, I didn't talk to him there. I listened to a show later because Rod told me to. He said, "Did you talk to the guy over at the Logos booth?" I'm like, "No." He was like, he's got the...
Oh, Robert. From, Logos rep.
Yeah, he was repping Logos, but he had his own podcast. And he's the guy that does the Second Temple stuff.
Yes, that's right.
Divine Council.
You told me about
all of that. But conversation, it's all connected, right? Whether you're talking about the fairies, you're talking about Divine Council, the angelic council, which isn't well attested to in the scripture, but it's definitely a thing by the Second Temple period.
Well,
they're really
here's the thing also then, and I want to bring this up because modern evangelicals have kind of done a number on this whole thing, is that The only fae that modern evangelicals know are demons, and therefore anything that's otherworldly is demonic to them. I see this. People comment all the time when
they almost dismiss the whole angelic
there's
realm
nothing angelic. There's no angelic.
because there's demons.
Yeah.
And so it's too dangerous, and so we just can't even talk about it.
Right. So it's demonic. Everything's demonic. If it's folk, if it's myth, if it's legend, it's all demonic. I'm like, but what about the angels? Well, I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, have you not read church history, read Jewish history, like read the Bible? Like it's all over the place. It's not just one side. It's not just the rebel angels. It's the fact that there's also, heavenly angels at work too, messengers and watchers and seraphim, cherubim, all these different, again, celestial spirits.
Ye watchers and ye holy ones. I mean, we even sing it.
We don't believe it, but we sing it. And
as it goes.
And I bring it up because so pre-modern, pre-industrial revolution, pre-enlightenment, all of this talk is going to be couched in the language of otherworldly beings.
Mhm.
That is, they're from the underworld, or they're from the fourth heaven.
So separate from the created order?
No, within it.
Okay. All right.
All within it. There's no separation. There's no such thing.
Well, I know I believe that,
because
but
God is all
but
in
I'm
all.
saying,
Christ is all.
I'm saying, is that
Logos,
what
right.
other people are thinking? Like these are like
In
aliens.
the modern era? Probably.
Yeah, they come from outside. They don't
Well, that's
belong.
what I'm leading up to.
Okay.
Right.
All
I'm
right.
leading up to that. So pre-modern, you have a living cosmos, right? Stars are angels. The lightning are angels and rebel angels traveling across the sky. You have the underworld. You have the overworld. You have seven heavens. You have seven hells. You have all these different spiritual beings constantly influencing our lives. That is all natural, that we call supernatural, because it's all part of the created order. And it's all happening visibly and invisibly. And they're interacting with us liminally, but also physically, right? There's some angels that are physically present, such as the angel that appears to Moses from the burning bush, the angel that wrestles with Jacob, the angel that appears to Manoah and his wife in the field, and so on, Gabriel. And then there's other angels that are spirits of fire, kind of like the seraphim. They're fiery serpents.
There's the angel of the Lord, the pre-incarnate Christ.
The angel, right. And this is all just commonly accepted as reality. Now, since the Industrial Revolution and the scientific enlightenment, we have not a cosmos, not a living cosmos, but a dead universe. And we don't have other worlds. We don't have dimensions. We don't have ley lines. We don't have membranes between worlds that thin and thicken depending on the seasons and so on. Instead, what we have are otherworldly beings or other dimensional beings. So Origin of Species, Darwin and his brother both claimed that they got their theory of evolution from Satan, who communicated with them from the 14th dimension.
Right.
They documented this. Go look it up for yourselves.
Right.
In a seance, basically. They were channeling because it was really popular at the time. So you have two guys saying that they got their information about evolution from Satan. That's what they say. And he communicates this to them from the 14th dimension.
We just leave that part out when we talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
All psychology is based on Hermetic mysticism. That's where it originally started from. The first psychological conferences were all run by mystics, alchemists. That's what it was. Psychology originally was mysticism.
Yeah.
And it was taken straight out of medieval mysticism.
Yeah, it's seeking transformation
and Kabbalism,
apart
because
from...
the core group of original psychologists and psychoanalysts were all Jewish people who grew up with that in their homes.
That's it. No, I'm glad
it was all right there.
I'm glad you got to the Jewish part because it's apart from regeneration, the work of the Holy Spirit and baptism. So we're going to change the person through secret arts.
Well, that's why we go from soul to self.
Right.
We have to make that change because we have to take everything into ourselves and make the universe this dead, empty space around us. And they're dead on multiple levels.
Where God
no heaven,
isn't.
no hell.
Yeah, God isn't.
Heaven is inside of you. Hell is inside of you. Go read Carl Jung's Red Book. Everything's inside of you. It's the Cartesian shift, so to speak. I think, therefore I am, versus God spoke, therefore I am. So everything that's external gets internalized. Everything that is outside of you is psychologized. And you become the center. You become the hub of everything. Very old Adamish, right?
Yeah.
So then by the time we get to the 70s in particular, and talk of UFOs picks up steam, and then we get into the 80s and 90s, and we're rewatching the X-Files right now. That's peak. Like peak UFO paranoia is the X-Files, baby.
Have you watched the X-Files movie recently?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The hantavirus.
the
yes.
hantavirus.
Yes. Yep. The pandemic.
So much
the
predictive programming on that
hantavirus
show.
and UFOs simultaneously.
Isn't that something?
And so now we're at the point where they're just throwing UFO stuff at us constantly, right? The government and the media is throwing, and we all know it's a distraction.
Yeah,
we all know
it's the distraction of the
diversion.
week. That's right.
But what's fun then is because people consider me a reasonable, intelligent person. Like non-Christians consider me reasonable, intelligent. So
Do
they'll
they?
talk to me
Okay.
about Christianity, right?
Yeah.
And then I say things like, UFOs are demons. Because I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Whenever I don't want to talk anymore, I just say things like that.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, UFOs are demons. And they're like, ugh. I'm like, no, did you think I was normal? I'm not normal. I'm a Christian.
I mean, if you prefer wheels on wheels with eyes, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what does that look like? Oh, it's a wheel with a whole bunch of circles,
Yeah.
and it moves in weird directions and doesn't follow the laws of physics as we understand it. And so all of the language that we used to use, to sum up my very long-winded point, all of the language we use today, I believe, was purposely chosen to replace all of the language that we used to use.
Yeah, of course.
So that when people read about the past, they don't see dragons, they see dinosaurs. They don't see angels, they see UFOs. They don't see the Tua de Danann, they see fairy tales, fantastic fictional things. So that we live in a dead universe, and all of this language and all of this indoctrination is to basically brainwash us into believing we live in an empty, dead universe.
Well, I mean,
that, by the way, historically then is just individuated and accidental.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could apply that not just to the spiritual conversation, but even just to, like, say, the history of the kings.
Right.
And you just read it and you say, oh, I see. The only way that a king is ever considered faithful, or ever considered good, I should say, is if he's faithful.
Right.
And we look around and say, that's not the criteria we're using to judge our kings. Why not? Because we're not listening to the old story. The old story is like, what makes Arthur Arthur? That's another old story, not just the 100%. Bible one. What makes him? It's that he's a Christian. It's a fundamental part of his identity. It is the fundamental part of his identity.
Yes, it's the fundamental identity of the entire story.
Right. And you look and you say, well, and so why don't we esteem people like Josiah or Hezekiah or I'm trying to think another one,
as Arthurian figures, or vice versa?
Because they cleansed the temple.
Yep.
They set up right sacrifices or right worship. Right. Yep. They restore the hearing of God's word. It's like, this is what makes them a good king. They still have multiple wives and they terrible political alliances and devaluing currency and terrorizing
and occultic
occultic. Right. So you're like, so it's a replacement story. Because what's the story today? Like, have we had a bad president? Not according to U.S. history books read in the school.
Right.
We've always been the good guys.
He
more
could
or less.
not tell a lie.
Well, except that
he was a 6'2" redheaded guy with lead dentures.
Well, that's the one I was thinking of too. But except for Nixon, until Nixon, right? And then Nixon, of course, was the
Nixon
bad guy.
was in Bohemian Grove. He was a high priest of Bohemian Grove.
Well, he was a bad guy.
Actually, he was a priest. Kissinger was the high priest at that time. He was a terrible bad guy. He was an awful bad guy since the 50s.
Right. And his friends were too.
We have the tapes.
Yeah, his friends were too. But that's the first one that you're told is the bad guy. Not FDR, of course, because FDR was fantastic. And
Abraham Lincoln was the best.
And Abraham Lincoln was the best, right?
The liberator.
I loved that his first move was to try to deport all the slaves.
That's right, exactly. Can we send them back?
I was like, deportation. I've heard that story before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you free them? So we could get rid of them.
Yeah, and you just go down the list. Madison, Jackson.
And by the way, not to restore them to their homeland out of some sort of benevolent charity.
No, it was Liberia, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Liberia. He despised them. And then later, it was Marcus Garvey wanted to load everybody back up on ships and go to Liberia. Yeah.
Prioritizing your, tier listing your presidents.
Yes.
It's going to be hard to have an S tier or an A tier.
But it depends on the criteria that we're going with.
But that's the narrative we're told, right? Is like, oh, these were noble wars.
Yeah, they're virtuous.
I listened to an old White Horse Inn program because they rebroadcast it from 90. Oh, it was from 2002 or 3. It was after Iraq won, the first Iraq, and there was all the triumphalism, and the context was, should we be celebrating our victory in churches? And Michael Horton, to his credit, I mean, he pointed out the number of Christians that were killed in Baghdad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, can we celebrate that we killed Christians? I mean, as a
Right.
country? I mean,
Well, lots of Christians I know are.
so that's that narrative substitution that happens, that you can't say, it can't be both.
Well, this goes back to what we said, though, that if the family is society to society,
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of mine wrote this last night that I thought the red line was genocide, but according to my Christian friends, it's not.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that?
Yeah. Good point.
Because I've been told this too by pastors that, well, Hamas was using them as shields to justify bombing churches or hospitals. And I'm stunned.
It's hard to get the logic of that.
Dumbfounded by that.
Yeah.
So it's okay to kill Christians if bad guys are hiding behind them. Oh, by the way, who bankrolled Hamas originally? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
What, who put the weapons in their hands? Remind me of that again.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't know because you don't care.
Well, I mean, you could do, if you prefer not to point the finger to that nation, you could say who created Al-Qaeda.
Well, who bankrolled that nation? Whose $144 billion was that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to read because I'm getting I'm getting stoked.
But narrative substitution. So rather than use the language of this, I'm gonna help you transition here.
Yeah.
Rather than use the language
Careful now. That
powers and principalities in the heavenly places.
Yes.
Right.
We don't have those anymore. Like what Paul said is in Colossians, for example, foolishness.
But they still exist. So you have to end up with another story.
Right.
Because otherwise you're
even
not...
for Christians, modern Christians have written a different story. Yeah.
Yeah. Because how else are you... I mean, that reality is there, whether you acknowledge it as true or not.
Or, to be even more to the point, you can't read Revelation unless you completely dismiss it as fantasy. As a modern, you have to dismiss everything as just imagery. It's all metaphor.
Typological, yeah.
Yeah, it's not real. Versus, John does do that. He will make distinctions, right? I heard, but then I saw.
Right.
And then there's times when he says, this is exactly what it's going to be. And that's like the hornets the size of horses with human faces stuff, where he's saying, this is exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, you could skip Revelation and just say,
he's not an idiot.
Let's deal with Thessalonians.
Sure.
It's like, well, the sound of a trumpet, the voice of an archangel, or the trumpet of God, right? And you're like, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And you're like, oh, that's just metaphorical. I'm like,
and they're not making it up because they're getting that from the synagogue. This is Jewish tradition. They're not just making this up on the fly.
Well, but it's also true.
That's what I'm saying, though. They're looking at the scriptures and saying, wait, if Jesus is the fulfillment of scripture and scripture says this, then it's true.
Right.
It's not a fantasy. We're not making
this is why, by the way, this is a side note when we're talking about last day stuff. I think this is why we can't avoid apocalyptic movies and writing.
Absolutely.
Because apocalyptic as in not revealing the end time, but rather just the destruction of all things. I'm thinking of like, what do my kids want to watch? They want to watch the one where it's all the natural disasters. The Day After Tomorrow or something like that.
Name one. Yeah.
And it has everything in it, right? It has tornadoes.
But when you and I were little, we had Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno. We had all those too.
Yeah, exactly.
Sunday Bloody Sunday.
But I'm just thinking of like the vision that Paul gives us in Thessalonians is the firestorm coming along the horizon.
Yes. Right.
And yet Christ is riding the wave.
Right. Right.
It's like, that does sound kind of terrifying now that you say it.
Well, that's the vision in Terminator 2.
Oh, yeah.
The firestorm that just rolls and she's, Sarah Connor's up against the chain link fence watching her daughter. And then the apocalypse happens and blows them all away.
Was it all a dream? I don't know.
Oh, Skynet's real. I don't know.
It's called Anduril today, but whatever.
We all watched it as fantasy, but certain people growing up apparently said, we should make that real.
Just don't call it Skynet.
Right. Yes, exactly.
That's too much on the nose.
We'll just hijack all of Tolkien's terms. But then when it comes to UFOs, rather than already being grounded in a cosmology that names the unidentified thing and says, no, we can identify it. We know exactly what it is. Instead, we say, you don't actually believe in angels, do you? I'm sorry, what do you believe in again? Unidentified flying objects? You mean angels? Which we don't call them UFOs anymore either, by the way. They changed the nomenclature.
UAP, right?
UAP, that's correct.
UFO, UAP.
Rebrand.
You know this.
And again, the number one generator in the West of UFO information is the CIA. That should all give us pause. That it's
new
the
disclosure.
CIA.
Post it on the website.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the people that have lied to us since the beginning are the people producing the most information about this for us.
Well, maybe we have to, before we get into it, then we have to say, what's the purpose of the false narrative? What's the purpose of the other story?
Well, it's Antichrist.
Right.
At the highest, if we go to the top of the penthouse, who's in the chair, right?
Right.
It's Antichrist. It's to turn us all towards the evil one.
Away from faith or trust. Yeah.
And so for me, especially right now where I'm at, for listeners, because if you've been with us for a long time, you know us. And you know we went through a period, especially in the 2020, 2021, 2022, where we're learning and we're being led by the Spirit.
That's for sure.
We are sure. You know, in season 5, when Mulder disappeared, Gillespie and I.
4 was terrible. It was a hard slog.
It was so bad.
That was a slog.
Yeah.
And Vince Gilligan's seasons are not easy either.
No, they're not. He's working things out himself.
Yeah.
He's figuring stuff out
exactly.
too. Go watch Millennium, for example, if you really want to see where this all leads. Lance Hendrickson, Millennium, which I actually liked more than X-Files.
I just ripped the DVDs so we could rewatch
They were mishandled. They mishandled it. It was all there.
At the end,
Yeah.
Season 3.
Well, again, Fox basically submarined that show and cut it off at the knees before it had a chance to
like Firefly, which we just finished again.
So, no, yeah, exactly.
What is it with Fox management?
Moment of silence. Moment of silence for Firefly. They're bringing it back as an animated show.
Late 90s Fox management issues.
Yep.
Major issues.
So many shows.
So many shows.
So, but for me right now then, as a pastor, that is, I was reading this, again, Early Fathers, that the pastor is over the flock. I call it overwatch because it's overseer, right?
Yeah.
Again, back to table of duties.
Overwatch is
the
good.
overseer, the presbyterist, however you want to phrase it. I'm overwatch. I'm a sniper. I'm overwatch over my flock.
Yeah.
And my flock comes to me and asks me what I think about this UFO stuff, right? And what's interesting, again, my congregation's blue collar. We're a small church. They're working with their hands every day. They're making week to week decisions with their money.
Right.
They don't have time to be freaked out about UFOs. They just don't care because my kid's got, I got to buy my kid a car. He just got his license. And
we just got to get to the soccer game or whatever it is. Yeah.
Or I got to get to work even though I got pneumonia because if I can't miss work, right?
So who is occupied by it then?
Well, people on the internet, people with free time,
with too much time on their hands,
people with too much privilege. That is, they have the privilege of listening to our podcast while they're at work, right?
I feel seen.
Let's not exclude ourselves. But my point then is that when stuff comes, and you dealt with this way long before I did.
You remember Crazy Space Alien Man?
Of course I do. I yearned to meet him before his death.
May he rest in peace. Yeah,
I never got the privilege.
Unfortunately, he thought the cigarettes weren't going to kill him. They ended up doing it eventually.
You know what though? Again, Cancer Man. He survived to the end of the show.
William, not Gibson. That's the necromancer or neuromancer.
That's the necromancer. Necromancer.
No, it was William something Gibson. That was his name too. The actor.
Yeah.
I think he died.
Great backstory for his character too, by the way. But
oh yeah, like when they went back because he was a JFK shooter, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I was involved in that.
But no, it's the sense of when stuff comes to us as pastors. Sometimes you go, well, I'm aware of it, but I haven't really thought deeply about it. And this goes back to deepness versus wideness.
And what I'm glad you brought up, I guess I could call him my Cancer Man.
Yeah.
That he was, he watched Ancient Aliens, of course, but he was literally consumed by it.
Yeah.
He could not break free, no matter how much I preached baptism, preached Christ to him. He still came to church mostly, but it was like, what if there's aliens?
You become on what you focus most.
Yeah.
Which in this case makes you an alien. It makes you unidentifiable to others.
I had thought about that. Maybe he wanted to be one.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the other.
Well, you want to be different. You want to be unique in the
but he just drove everybody else crazy. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. You become the alien thing. You become a stranger to others.
Okay.
And in a sense, we call it self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. Which it starts off innocent, like anything, dieting, exercise, reading, whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden you become that thing.
The thing you consume consumes you.
Well, right. When I started college, I never thought about being a college professor. But by the end of my time in academia, that's where I was headed, was to become a college professor. Why? Because it consumed me. I loved learning. I loved reading. I loved talking about these topics.
Hasn't really changed.
Where can you do that at? University. Right. Yeah, no, as a pastor, I've had to de-escalate that side of my personality for people, because
Right.
they don't want an academic. They don't want a professor. They want a pastor who understands where they're at in
You
their life.
overwhelm us with your wealth of knowledge. No.
Yes, that has been said. So then what is a UFO, and how do we explain this phenomena that has been around since the 50s? Actually, it's been around
Longer than that.
Well, Voltaire and Candide writes about it.
You know who else wrote about it? Because like I said, I did some research.
Mhm.
Thomas Paine.
Yes.
Do you know about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I
I
can
love Tommy.
find the quote. I do like Thomas Paine. Let's see. I mean, I don't know how much of a Christian he was, but he wrote in The Age of Reason, 1794. This is what he wrote. To believe that God created a plurality of worlds renders the Christian system of faith at once little and ridiculous, and scatters it in the mind like feathers in the air. The two beliefs cannot be held together in the same mind, and he who thinks that he believes both has thought but little of either.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the dilemma. If you made all the
Mhm.
worlds, did Jesus die for all the worlds? We talked about this before.
Right.
Right. But that's 1794. So it must be an Enlightenment thing is when it really takes off. Because that's when we turn inward, right?
Right.
Wow.
Exactly. Before that, they talked about it all the time. But they talked about demons and angels and spirits.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm
Yeah.
seeing quotes here from like Thomas Mather, or
Mhm.
Cotton Mather, excuse me, Cotton Mather.
Right.
Um,
But just consider how limited we are then in our imaginations, that we can only talk about one thing and not go beyond that one thing.
hmm.
Our cosmology has been reduced to a dead universe, a series of accidents we call history that all revolve around one individual, me, and UFOs are this thing. That's it.
Yeah. And a mechanical thing, as in like
Yeah.
War of the Worlds or
Right.
where's some of the other UFO craze? I mean, War of the Worlds is pretty early. That's 20s, right? Late 20s?
Well, it's H.G. Wells.
Yeah. Oh, right, but I'm thinking of the broadcast.
Yeah, the
that
broadcast.
Orson Welles, or not Wells.
Yeah, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles did the broadcast. Yeah.
Yep.
And they all thought it was true.
Yes.
Or maybe that was 30. Was that in the 30s? I don't know. People were freaked out, though.
I thought it was the late 20s.
I think it's late 20s, yeah. It's before Citizen Kane,
Yes. Right.
because he was a radio guy first.
Yep.
But yeah, that power of that story, and then we can harvest the technology. So then we, like you were saying, we could become the aliens by hybridizing with the aliens.
Right. Well, that was the talk in the 20s and 30s. We've talked about this. By 1938, scientists were already saying in 100 years, we'll be having flying cars and cities in the sky, and we'll be human-animal
But it was going to
hybrids
come
and-
from outside.
always.
Oh.
Either a lost world, like a hollow earth theory,
Uh-huh.
or
Oh, yeah.
from outer space.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
That was H.G. Wells, too.
Starring Troy McClure.
It could-
As a child, that was one of my favorite movies.
Really?
In the 70s, it's fantastic.
See, I didn't, what was
That and Land of the Lost.
what was the one where they miniaturized the
I told
ship?
you, Land of the Lost told us as children everything.
Oh, that's right.
Hollow Earth, dinosaurs, prehistoric men, slee stacks, the lizard people, the monolith you go into to manipulate the crystals to see into other dimensions.
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's all there, baby. It's all there.
Oh, now I have to watch it again.
Yeah, Chaka.
Who was that Bluth who did that? Who did
I don't know.
Who did
No,
Land of the Lost?
Bluth was later. Land of the Lost is 70s.
Huh. And it told us everything.
Everything, man. Everything.
Though they have to reveal the method. We've talked about that.
Right.
Not
Then
that
we had Leonard Nimoy in Search Of. We had That's Incredible. Yeah, we had all that stuff.
Land of the Lost. It's not Land of the Lost. What was it?
Yeah, Land of the Lost.
It's only popping up with the 2009. Did they memory hold this?
Could have. Yeah. Yeah, the Will Ferrell movie doesn't count. It's an abomination.
Is that a remake?
Yeah, it's a reimagined.
Well, it is Will Ferrell. Oh, gross.
Mm-hmm. I think Danny McBride's in it too, unfortunately.
Of course.
They're both funny guys, but the movie itself is not
Let's
good.
see. There was a TV series, 74 to 77.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
the
Land of the
TV
Lost.
show.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was a
Saturday
movie.
mornings, Land of the Lost.
Oh, see, I'm thinking of something totally different. Oh, look at that. Dinosaurs and otherworldly beings. Oh, my children would love this.
Reptilians, slee stacks. And then you had Chaka and his friends, which were basically Neanderthals.
Season 1, Episode 1, Chaka.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I can remember that, and haven't watched the show since I was 6, but I can't remember the last name of people in my church, tells you a lot about my brain right there.
Oh.
Yeah, Chaka. Yeah, the Neanderthal boy that befriends Holly.
Yeah,
the girl
6.9
in the
on
show.
that episode.
How dare they?
Sorry,
Right.
didn't quite make it to 7.
That's right. But all that stuff back in the 70s tapped into all of
the popular stories.
That was the cultural, that was the zeitgeist, that was the conversation, because it was an apocalyptic time. There was a lot of stuff happening in the 70s culturally.
That's true.
And escapism was on Saturday mornings for the most part, and Sundays.
Because it was already down to the level of children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because marketing really kicked it into high gear in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Because of the boom in children, the birth of children, the boom.
Yeah. Okay.
So explanation then.
I'll put it up on the screen.
The phenomena, the UFO phenomena. Dr. Jacques Vallée's newest book on, when was this written originally? Was it, 1970? Well, there you go. Here we go. I thought it was the 70s. I thought it was 75, but okay. Dr. Jacques Vallée, newest book on UFOs, The Invisible College, reveals what reputable scientific researchers are now thinking about them. He believes that we are now, quote unquote, very close to understanding what they are. He notes that the idea of extraterrestrial intelligent life has in a few years become astonishingly fashionable among scientists as well as fortune tellers, as a result of, quote, a great thirst for contact with superior minds that will provide guidance for our poor, harassed, hectic planet.
In other words, gods.
Right. By the way, the 70s was also the explosion of Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what is it? A man's search for meaning, basically.
And I mean that in the sense of like the cultural popularity of Satanism became acceptable in the 70s, which led to the satanic panic of the 80s.
Well, because you had to embrace by like rock and roll, basically.
Well, actors and actresses,
it was put out in front. Yeah.
Yeah, it was front facing, and not in an ironic, get attention sort of way. I mean, Alice Cooper was Alice Cooper, but no, it was Satanism was popular. Again, watch shows from that era, and Satanism pops up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
He significantly sees that the idea of, it was like Satanism, like crystals, auras, astral projection, all that stuff was a part of like the zeitgeist. So Satanism wasn't like Satanism in the sense of like we're worshiping evil, but rather it's the same as like crystals and Carlos Castaneda.
Is that when the Legion comic came out?
Which Legion?
Legion was 90s though, wasn't it?
No, that was the 90s. That was New Mutants.
Oh, it was.
He was Charles Xavier's son. And that was
right.
New Mutants.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it pulls from the 70s. Those themes.
No, 100%.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's pulling all that stuff forward.
And so he significantly, that is Vallée, he significantly sees that the idea of visitors from outer space has become the great myth of quote unquote wonderful untruth of our times. On page 207, he writes, it has become very important for large numbers of people to expect visitors from outer space. Yet he finds it naive to believe in this myth. Quote, this explanation is too simple-minded to account for the diversity of the reported behavior of the occupants and their perceived interaction with human beings. Dr. Hynek has noted that in order to explain the various effects produced by UFOs, we must assume that they are, quote, a phenomenon that undoubtedly has physical effects, but also has the attributes of the psychic world. That's the actual definition, essentially, of symbolism.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's
a physical sign with a spiritual effect.
Meaning.
Yeah, meaning.
Yeah.
I mean, here it's phenomena and physics.
Yeah, he uses different words,
psychic,
but yeah,
but
they're literally just rebranding old stuff. All of this is just that, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. The Edge of Reality, page 259, is Dr. Hayek. Dr. Vallée believes that, quote, they are constructed both as physical craft, a fact which has long appeared to be, to me, undeniable, and as psychic devices whose exact properties remain to be defined. Invisible College, page 202. Actually, the theory that UFOs are not physical craft at all, but some kind of paraphysical or psychic phenomenon was suggested by a number of researchers in the early 1950s. Think Roswell. But this opinion it's interesting that in the early 50s and late 40s, they were talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it happened. What a shock. I mean, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the rocket technology that was brought here under the auspices of Project Paperclip or other.
Operation Paperclip.
Operation Paperclip.
Mm-hmm.
Or the fact that NASA is the continuation of the Third Reich.
Well, at least their rocket program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Who did I bring up on that?
To this day, by the way.
Who wrote the whole, Elon's of Mars and the whole,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the rocket scientist guy that was a
Yes.
Nazi.
In the 50s.
Yeah, well, he was in Apple's NASA kind of What If Things Had Gone Differently show. I forget what that was called. We watched like 2 seasons or 3 seasons of it. It was okay, but because they painted him as like this virtuous guy who was just just wanting to fly rockets. He wasn't trying to commune with aliens.
Well, and to this point then, and I think it's relevant to point out now, is you can't talk about UFOs, at least not theologically, without going into the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
That is, that this is an actual conspiracy. For a Christian theologian, if we're going to say that UFOs are demons, then UFOs are a conspiracy.
Or demonic activity of some sort.
Whatever you want to call it. It is
Yeah.
an actual conspiracy. We talked about, again, occultism in the beginning of this. That is that in secret, people are planning and scheming, Psalm 2 kind of stuff. The rulers of the world are plotting and scheming
Mm-hmm.
to throw off the chains of the Lord,
Right.
the living God,
Right.
and replace him with these myths, these stories, these new theologies.
Well,
And-
what would an angel of light look like if that was a demon in disguise?
Right. Well, it would look like Gabriel appearing to Muhammad in the desert, for example.
Right. Exactly.
Or a light in the sky at night that doesn't travel like a normal aircraft. That's
That then you
untraceable.
become so preoccupied by that it almost becomes your new religion.
Yes, 100%. Right. We're going to go stand out in the desert at night and, well, again, watch X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really, I mean, especially season 2 of X-Files.
Yeah.
When,
Is that when they
Gillian
introduce-
Anderson's on her maternity leave.
That's
And so,
not 2.
yeah, that was season 2. Yeah,
she was on her maternity.
She was
not on the
kidnapped at the end of
show.
season 1,
Got
and then
it.
she was on her maternity leave. No, not in the show. That was later.
Right.
In the show, it's later. Yeah. No, in real life. And so
And that's
Mulder's
when we
off
get
on
the
his-
lone gunman. We
We get
they
the
were
lone
in
gunman.
season 1, but
We
yeah.
get the new Deep Throat, the
Mhm.
guy that replaces season 1, Deep Throat.
Eventually
and
the
everything,
lady
right?
has to replace.
But
the
my
guy.
point is,
Yeah.
the focus of season 2 is, in season 1, Mulder's religion is UFOs and the secret, and it's a bad thing.
And with his sister. Yeah.
Versus in the second season, when because we just finished up with, they found her, she just turns up at a hospital, and then Director Skinner has his heart-to-heart with Mulder about Vietnam and his experience, and he reopens the X-Files. And then in season 2, all of a sudden, Mulder's religion is a good thing because he can do things that these other people wish they could do but can't because of circumstances. But it's very clear, at least early on, that this is a religious show. It's just that at the time that I originally watched it, I wasn't thinking that way. But now rewatching it pastorally and as a theologian, I'm like, oh no, this show is extremely religious because everything they're doing, Scully's the atheist, or at least agnostic.
And they bring the crosses in later.
They bring the cross. Well, they bring the cross in with Scully because Mulder's carrying around her crucifix.
All the time where you have her cross
Mm-hmm.
or they're in a chapel, or that all comes under Vince Gilligan. But incidentally,
and by the way, an angel ministers to her in the hospital.
that's right.
As a nurse, and she asks for the nurse, and no one's ever worked here like that, and blah, blah, blah. So the mysticism is there, just not the Christianity. It's very Japanese anime, actually. Japan uses the imagery of Christianity, but completely divorced from the faith. So it's very much in that vein of, we'll use all the Christian imagery and mythos, but we deny that any of this is true. And so you have to cover, like we talked about beforehand, do we talk about Project Bluebeam? We don't have to, but go look it up for yourself if you're listening, Project Bluebeam. It's been on the books for a long time.
I was only saying that it would be easy for us to get distracted.
Right. But I'm saying
We
go
could
get
talk
distracted
paperclip,
if you're
we could
listening.
talk Bluebeam.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you want to get distracted, go look up Operation Paperclip and the continuation of the Third Reich, and go look up Project Bluebeam. It's all there. It's all publicly available.
Right.
We're not making this up.
I just
it's
called
not
it
secret.
the distraction of the week.
Yeah, it's the distraction of the week, 100%. That is, what new myth are we learning this week?
Mhm.
Because that's what we're talking
To
about,
distract
right?
us from
Yeah.
true.
100%. And
You don't mean
especially-
myth in the positive sense there. You meant it in the
No.
negative. Yes.
Yeah. And so, we're getting to an operation, actually. So here we go. So actually, the theory that psychic phenomenon was suggested by a number of researchers in the early 1950s, that is, that there's spiritual powers influencing you.
Mm-hmm.
But this opinion was largely submerged later, suppressed, on the one hand by the cultists, there it is, with their insistence on the extraterrestrial origin of UFOs, And on the other hand, by the official government explanations, as if the government people aren't also in cults, which, again, go watch Control-Alt-History, or Control-Alt-History, yeah. The view correspond to the widespread popular view that the whole phenomenon was imaginary. This is from Keel's book on UFOs, Operation Trojan Horse, pages 38 through 41. Only lately have serious investigators begun to agree that UFOs, while having certain physical characteristics, cannot at all be explained as somebody's spaceships, but are clearly something of the paraphysical or occult realm. There you go. It all
we're
starts
literally
off as a
seeing
cult.
things.
Right. So like we said with psychology and psychoanalysis, and even like chiropractics, the health craze, we talked about Kellogg's and other quote unquote doctors.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff originally started off as a cultic practice, as mysticism, esotericism, and hermeticism. And then over time, it became enculturated.
We should probably define those words.
Go ahead.
Well,
look it up.
Yeah, I don't have a good working definition of any of
I'll
them.
do it.
Are you? Which one are you doing? Esoteric or hermetic?
I'll do both. No, I'll do both.
I mean, esoteric we use to describe things that are only understood by a small number of people.
Intended to be communicated only to the initiated,
Yeah, there you
or
go.
the profound.
So, I mean, everybody
from
wants to be...
esoterikos, meaning belonging to an inner circle.
Right. Everybody wants to be part of the club.
Yes.
But how are you going to get... You have to be initiated. How do you
Yes.
get initiated? You do the research, as they say. Right? Hermeticus is connected to... Or Hermeticism is connected to Hermes.
Correct. The god of science and art.
Also astrology and alchemy.
Science in the techne sense of science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hermeticism
and
is
pharmakeia.
that
Yeah.
alchemy, being able to transform what? Straw into gold, or...
Right.
And also the language of the
And
stars.
the Egyptian god Thoth.
Yes, exactly.
Goes back even further.
Mm-hmm.
So making a glass tube airtight, for example, is the Trismegistus, the thrice great Hermes.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah. Yeah.
So Thoth as Hermes supposedly invented the process of making a glass tube that was airtight, a process of alchemy using a secret seal, which is why Hermeticism and esotericism uses Egyptian imagery and symbolism all over the place.
Also the
even
Masons.
on the dollar bill. Well, I was going to say, it's on the dollar bill, guys.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the Mason connection. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather was a Mason, so I do know a few things.
There you go.
I read the
Yes.
books
There you go.
that he had laying around, and it started as a strange fascination, World's Fair kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're encountering foreign cultures, and the
Right.
founding guys, they just got obsessed with everything Egyptian,
Yeah.
including the esoteric and hermetic stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the cult of Samson.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
too.
not Samson. Cult of, David's kid, Solomon, the Temple of Solomon, the
right.
cult of Solomon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where the imagery from the Masons comes from, is from supposedly from Solomon.
Well,
and
the building of the
and-
temple. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yep,
Hence,
let's just take God's word and twist it all up and make it mean something else.
well, that's the point, though. Maybe it means
Yeah.
something else, and we can dig out some secret meaning,
right.
and that's the Kabbalic thing too, right? With
Right.
numbers and
The compass and, yeah, don't even get me started on that. I've been down a rabbit hole on 33 and
what's
it's
the
everywhere.
what's the
Well, the whole Hanta thing is 33, 33, 33.
yeah, that's right.
33. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
well, it's also absurd. What's the
Totally absurd. That's all you know they're mocking.
what's the
you.
personality test that comes from Kabul?
Myers-Briggs?
No, Myers-Briggs. Well, it's kind of like it, but
I just learned about her last week. That's crazy too.
no, the M something. What am I thinking about? You get a number. Like I'm a 5, whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name of it right now. Because we all had to take
And
it.
5s don't go with 7s, and no,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
I learned about it from Dave Zoll of Mockingbird.
MSAT.
No, it's from Dave Zoll of Mockingbird. He was talking about it one time,
Okay.
and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it is hermetic. It's hermetic. It's secret knowledge, secret wisdom about personalities
Mhm.
and incompatibilities and things.
Right.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
So then why indeed are so many UFO quote unquote landings precisely in the middle of roads? Also, why are 99.9% of all UFO landings and sightings in the United States and nowhere else?
Well, he talks about that elsewhere in the book.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and
Elsewhere in the book.
yeah, not just with UFOs, but with
Mhm.
just
Yeah. From the first official sighting until now, 99% of all UFO sightings are inside the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something to do with, I'm trying to remember his argument now. It's not coming to me. Ugh.
Well, it's because of our freedom. They love our
Oh,
freedom. They want to know more about our freedom.
yeah.
We're just so inviting. Unless you grew up watching shows in the 80s where the government
No,
and the
I mean,
scientists are always the bad guys.
No, I mean, I think his argument is actually just really simple. We just abandon God.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why why these other stories can just jump
of course.
right in.
And other cultures, of course, haven't done that. So therefore.
Well, yeah, he may have a little bit of nostalgia for, an Orthodox past that was
Sure.
more
Yeah.
idyllic than America. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why indeed so many landings in the middle of roads? Why do such fantastically advanced craft so often need repairs? Why do the occupants so often need to pick up rocks and sticks over and over again for 25 years? And cows. Why cows? And to test. Why do they need to test so many people?
Why the circles in the crops?
Yes, if they are actually reconnaissance vehicles from another planet, as the humanoids usually claim.
Well, but there's the grays and there's the greens.
And then there's the tall whites, and the tall whites are the ones who are working with the government. They're the Hadron Collider folk.
It is an interesting
Hey, by
phenomenon.
the way, I just learned this morning. Do you know there's 30,000 different Hadron Colliders in the world?
No,
Yeah, and they're all in mountains.
but they're not as big as the big ones.
No, they're not as big. But no, this isn't even the first one.
Why do we keep smashing atoms against each other? Seems so
Well,
violent.
we create new minerals like neptunium.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's an actual mineral, neptunium, and it's being used by Elon Musk. When he was using his boring project, they were using neptunium.
So you joked
So
about
basically, they create these new minerals, and then governments use them. It's crazy.
you joked about our 2021 kind of era, but
Yeah.
it was bound to happen. We were talked about spinning off and doing a whole show on this stuff.
We did. Yeah.
But it was just
we should be the new lone gunman is what it comes down to.
But unfortunately, I know many pastors in our tradition that are obsessed with all the myths, American myths especially.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I guess it's that desperate search for meaning and purpose.
Well, it's also recognizing counter narratives. If you're a biblical theologian, a sacramental theologian, if you take serious that, as the Spirit moved the prophets to speak, so we confess, these counter narratives, again, since I've taken up the study and the learning of myth and storytelling, and then you get deeper into story, as we've talked about now, when these counter narratives come, they stink. They just stink. Like I said, when you learn the characteristics of the trickster character in myth, right?
Yeah.
And then you encounter a trickster in real life today. For example, Trump is a trickster god. Like, he's clearly a trickster. Because, well, he
says one thing and does another.
Well, he's also Janus.
Yeah, he's two-faced, right?
Right. He is two-faced. Everything he said on the campaign, he's doing the opposite of it, right? He's Janus. And so once you recognize these patterns, you then go, okay, well, wait a minute. If this is the two-faced god, Janus, who stands at the threshold of two different worlds, right? Then what's the narrative he's spinning, right?
I think we've always said he was a transition figure.
We have, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it turns out, with the whole economic thing and the fourth great turning and blah, 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 all these things.
Like he said yesterday at the banquet in China, like,
yeah.
See, I always tell everybody how great a leader you are. I'm like,
right.
Wait a minute.
When?
That's not what you said to us.
The internet exists, right?
Yeah.
Are you aware?
You're
being recorded.
I like reposting old Donald Trump
But of course
tweets.
he does, because he is a trickster figure in the sense of he is an agent of confusion.
Yep.
He is an agent of, hey, let's take the shortcut through the woods, even though there's wolves or that kind of stuff. Right. And so when you know, okay, here are the old stories, and here's the old pattern in all of these old stories. And then you hear a counter pattern, right? You see a counter pattern, you hear it. You have to perk up and say, well, wait a minute. And so for our pastors who may know nothing about what I just said, they're still biblical theologians. They're still catechetical. They still have the confessions. They have the early fathers. We have this history that's 2,000 years old, at least, more like 8,000. And then a counter narrative comes and you say, well, wait a minute. This doesn't bring us together. This doesn't create hope or comfort. This doesn't, increase love amongst us or faith. This seems to counter to that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we explain trans kids, for example, right? Well, we have Baphomet. We have the myth of Baphomet.
Yeah, but I
We have
like the idea of thinking of this as alchemy now.
Yeah. Well, it is, in a sense, because it is creating an airtight glass tube, narratively
Well,
speaking.
but that transformative character,
Yes.
making
Right.
something out of something else out of something,
Yes.
you know.
Right. Going back to Odyssey, Ellen Page is supposedly the ghost of Achilles.
That's probably, that rumor was started by somebody else, but it doesn't matter.
She's in the trailer.
Right, but not as the ghost of Achilles, but
We'll
as
see.
some character with a P name. I can't remember all the characters.
Penelope?
No.
Persephone?
No, not nobody I could remember.
Perseus? At this point, actually?
No.
Anyways,
Although, did you see oh, it was fantastic. They substituted for Brad Pitt. They substituted Ellen / whatever Page.
I just said that.
Yeah, but no, in
Mhm.
the scene from Troy, the movie,
Oh, okay.
where it's Brad Pitt,
Right.
and it's so then the guy throws the spear, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Or-
Right, exactly. And she's dead.
Yeah, because there's nothing to her.
That's
She's 90 pounds soaking
the South
wet.
Park, the famous South Park, and it's gone. About banking, yeah. But the thing I think, anyways,
Speaking of alchemy and narratives, wow, look
is
at
to
that.
recognize that as pastors, we practice what the people outside the church would call alchemy. We actually practice magic.
Mhm.
I've heard this, right? That the words of institution for the Lord's Supper are magic. You speak magic words into bread and wine, and then you believe that your magic words change them, transmute them into something that they're not.
Hocus
That is
pocus. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
locus corpus meum.
Yep.
But also then you dress up like wizards. you
I
say
admit
magic,
that.
right? You say magic words.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you meet quote unquote in private
We
in
believe
your
in
building.
baptismal regeneration
Correct, right? We believe that a God comes down from the heavens into the water
and dwells in us.
and dwells in us. Exactly. And to the outside world, this, as we talked about with Pliny,
Mm.
that, hey, this secret society meets on Sunday before the sun comes up, and they're
Wow,
doing these
that's right. I
weird cultic
Forgot
practices.
about that episode. Okay.
Yeah.
We read plenty.
And Christianity was originally referred to as a mystery cult. And I think we need to bring that back. We need to emphasize the weirdness with a Y. We need to emphasize the mystery part of things and the cult.
Because
That is, yes, we behave a certain way.
Because it's the true one.
Yes.
But by separating ourselves from the mystery,
Correct. Right.
some other mystery is going to take its place.
100%. This is like we talked about when I first came into the church, and I heard pastors say, well, out there in the real world. And I said to myself, wait a minute.
This is make-believe then.
That's exactly what I thought, actually.
Mhm.
And so then what am I supposed to say to my friends then? You should come to church to engage in fantasy. Well, what do? Well, we sit.
It's actually,
And
you just go to Comic-Con. It's better.
yeah, it's way better. Yep. Just role play, do what you got to do.
Yeah,
right?
if you're just going to play fantasy.
Cosplay. Sorry, not role play. Sorry, guys. I know what cosplay is.
What?
Go to San Diego. It's nice. You get to cosplay. It's your High Holy Day.
I don't know the
High Holy
difference.
Week, actually.
Whatever.
Yeah. Bring it back. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan of cosplay and Comic-Con. But no, that's the point, is that the outside can look at us and go, you're cosplaying. You're cosplaying as an ancient mystery cult, right? A magician. And then from the inside, we'll point at the outside world and go, well, you're in a mystery cult, and
Right.
you're playing in, you're Zoroastrian or animistic or whatever, versus, okay, but what's the truth?
Well,
The truth.
yeah,
And then we'll go from there.
yeah, Zoroastrian is, it's obviously a distortion of what they learned in part.
Well, they worship a fire versus Pentecost, which is, the tongues of fire were above their heads as the Holy Spirit came in fire.
yeah.
That's one of the names for the Holy Spirit. I have it written in my sermon notes here in my little sermon journal that I've started.
Very nice.
He's literally referred to by St. Ephraim as fire hidden in water.
There is that
Because he
transition
is
from water
both.
to fire, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also called the harp player that awakens the soul in the companion
Because
in
what
the
took the
wilderness.
place, we'll never destroy the world again by a flood, but we will by
Yes.
fire.
By fire. That's
Yeah.
literally, yeah. And so
I've never thought about Pentecost being the world being destroyed by fire, but
it is.
death and life,
Yeah.
right?
And Saint Mary being depicted, her belly being depicted as the fiery furnace, the fiery bush that isn't consumed. Jesus is in there not being consumed.
Or sometimes she's just sitting in the bush.
Or she herself is sitting inside that furnace not being consumed. So it's all there. But again, like we said, as soon as you take Jesus out, you are left with Hermeticism, esotericism, occultism, Satanism.
Because the weird stuff still remains. You just don't have you don't have the word for it anymore.
Well, it doesn't have meaning anymore because you've literally taken out the author that wrote the story and said, this is what this means. So if I want to understand, well, who is your mother? Let him explain it to me. Versus, well, if he's not here, who is she? Well, now she becomes the corn goddess or Aphrodite or something, right?
Right.
Which, apart from Jesus, why not?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if we have to make up a new story. And so, yeah, it's, well, are you like Rapture, for example, the Left Behind series and the whole popularity of the Rapture, which had gained popularity in the 70s, but it was around before that.
Mhm.
It's not biblical. And
Well,
yet
the Satanic Panic actually inspired it.
it did.
Or at least
really brought it to the fore, right?
Gave it some oxygen. Yeah.
100%. But you read Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke,
Mhm.
the rapture happens in that novel. All the children are taken up into the
Yeah,
space.
of course.
Because they all evolve and they become psychic.
Fun.
But the point is, you take Jesus away from and the last coming, the last day, the final judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Take Jesus out, and what are you left with? You're left with Childhood's End. You're left with.
That's a great Pink Floyd song, by the way. It's a pretty deep cut, but
yeah,
it's worth listening to.
But the point is, then
they like their sci-fi too.
You're taking a biblical narrative,
Mhm.
a biblical teaching, take Jesus away, take the Holy Spirit away, take the Father away, and then you're left with just the raw material, which is alchemy. You're going to take this and make something out of it. That's alchemical. That's all you're doing. It's alchemy. Take some bread, take some wine, take away Jesus. What's the bread and wine? Human sacrifice. That's what it becomes.
Yeah,
it becomes Abel. It's Cain and Abel.
Right.
It's Nimrod. It's the Israelites in the wilderness without Moses. Right. And it is the church without Jesus. It's culture without Christ. It's culture without the gospel of Jesus Christ. And what are you left with? UFOs.
Yeah. Something.
And then they have the audacity to say to us that we are living in a fantasy world because we say, no, they're not. They're angels and demons. That's absurd. Dude, you literally pray to the universe rather than acknowledge that there's a higher being or power.
Oh, I did find, and I think it might be in this chapter anyway, but what was why America? It was because we democratized medianism because of democracy. So it used to be you had to have, there were gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because it was a hierarchy.
Right. So there were seances, invocations, occult rituals, but there would be, priests and that sort of thing. Whereas now, with UFO phenomena especially, demons have direct contact with people who are just looking into the sky.
Yeah.
Right.
Or their screens.
Or their screens. Right.
Which is a seance.
So he said that the democratization of demonic contact is what makes America unique. And the argument is, back to being family, it's the collapse of the Christian social order that had maintained kind of like, well, here are things that aren't angels fear to tread, right? Stay away from that. And that we say, pastors are gatekeepers, and that's usually used in a negative sense. Rose sees it in a very positive sense. It's like, don't deal with that. Stay away from that. I mean, the warning part, as well as the access. Here's how you access God and live. Here's what's not permitted, because and we use Luther's distinction here, right, between the God revealed and God hidden. Like, just, you don't want to encounter the hidden God. You can do it, but it will kill you. He will kill you, right? Or devastate you, leave you in despair, all the different ways that we talk about that. And that gatekeeping function, Rose argues elsewhere here, is the problem with American, I guess, just religious kind of life. Is that everybody can do whatever they want in their own eyes.
Exactly.
I read that somewhere in the Bible.
Somewhere in the Bible.
Yeah.
Weird. Let's keep pushing forward.
Yeah,
here.
let's do it.
So what takes place through close encounters with UFOs is control of human beliefs. Here we go. So we had the humanoids. Dr. Veli will ask whether the visitors from outer space idea might not serve precisely a diversionary role in masking the real, infinitely more complex nature of the technology that gives rise to the sightings. Again, the Book of Jubilees says that it was the fallen angels that gave us technology. All of our innovations come from the fallen angels.
I mean, that's the point is that's Second Temple period.
Yeah,
Jewish myth.
It's old.
Jewish myth, but Christians obviously are swimming in those waters.
Well, if they consider the Book of Jubilees authoritative, just not canonical, up until, through the Reformation.
Teaches something.
Yeah, Luther taught it. He read it, as did the Wittenbergers. So he believes, that is, Vallée believes, that we are not dealing with successive waves of visitations from space. We are dealing with a control system. There it is. That's the thesis right there. This isn't about UFOs. This is about control. So what takes place through close encounters with UFOs is control of human beliefs. Page 3 of Valley's book. With every new wave of UFOs, the social impact becomes greater. More young people become fascinated with space, with psychic phenomena, with new frontiers in consciousness. More books and articles appear, changing our culture. Again, anybody who's done mescaline or peyote or...
What's the stuff that's from the back of the frog?
Ayahuasca.
There it is.
They encounter elves. In their visions, they encounter what are called elves. Terence McKenna named it that in the 70s, elves, that communicate with them. And you know what the elves are and the elves are described as looking like the way that aliens are described. Little gray or green men and tall white men.
What about the Keebler elf?
No, I'm sorry. That's
no, but he was green. Him. He wore green.
If you encounter the Keebler elf, that's probably LSD. It's a more friendly version of this.
And more cookies.
But they unanimously say the same thing, that when they encounter these supposed psychedelic elves, these interdimensional beings, they look like aliens. The way aliens are described popularly. Yeah, the gray ones, the green ones, the white ones, and so on. Which should give you a hint that maybe this is more than just a physical phenomena, as he says. With every new wave of UFOs, the social impact becomes greater. Well, what about now then, when we're all indifferent to it and no one cares anymore?
So I got a problem.
Is that
now.
the intended social consequence? Because I think it is, actually. I think it is to overwhelm us so that we don't care, so that the control can just happen in plain sight.
So I said this was 71, but that can't be, because Valley's book is 75. So now I'm confused as to which came first, because Valley is 75. The full text is available on archive.
Okay.
Archive.org. Orthodoxy. This is also, it was first published in 75.
In 1979.
It's updated in 79. This is the updated edition.
Okay, here it is. First printing April 75, second August 75.
Yeah.
Third 76.
So the Valley book meant that he went back and he had to.
Yeah, and then the fourth printing was 79. And the version I have is copyright 1979.
Yeah, this one is 79.
Yeah, okay.
But the Valley book is 75. We could. I don't know if it's worth. He's quoting it a lot, so maybe it's worth reading.
He must have had it open right next to him then at the time, and said to himself, "I gotta record all this."
Well, we have to just go back. I just got to go back and add all this stuff I'm reading from.
And so, in another book, Valley notes that it is possible to make large sections of any population. He was in Alaska, by the way, without any electricity. So it's not as if he didn't have free time. Yeah, he didn't. It's not as if he didn't have free time. I think he was on an island. Maybe I was wrong about that, but I know. Yeah, he was a monk, so he had free time to read. In another book, he notes that it is possible to make large sections of any population believe in the existence of supernatural races, in the possibility of flying machines, and the plurality of inhabited worlds, by exposing them to a few carefully engineered scenes, the details of which are adapted to the culture and superstitions of a particular time and place, which goes back to what you referred to that he said, the United States being open to this. Because it's kind of a median place, almost a medial place.
Well, you don't need a medium. You have
because it's wide open.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the sense of our culture, then is medial. We don't need a medium. Like we don't need someone to conduct a seance because our whole culture is basically awash in that.
Yeah, you have full access. Just open your phone.
Right. Well, as de Tocqueville said, right? De Tocqueville said we're the most religious culture he had ever encountered in his travels. And yet the kind of Christianity he encountered, the active kind of Christianity, the busyness of it, was also unlike any kind of Christianity he had ever seen, because it was all based on success. He said Americans are obsessed with religion and success through religious pursuits.
He's not wrong.
He's still not wrong to this very day. So there is that sense then that, the whole culture is awash in this sense of, I'm my medium. You're your own medium. We call that finding your truth nowadays.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we all have a seance in our pocket just waiting to happen. We have channeling.
And I know I can hear the objection. People will say, well, I can worship God wherever I want and whatever I want.
Not according to the Bible, but yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, not according to the Bible,
Or Christian doctrine.
but I can hear them as saying, you're just trying to defend your phony baloney, office
100%.
and church and whatever.
Yes.
And saying, well, there's no salvation outside the church. And,
Yes.
and,
Well, I didn't say that. Augustine said that in the 300s.
well, I know,
yeah.
but
Right.
But that's the accusation.
Yeah, of course.
Because,
And you are absolutely correct.
yes, because, but the consequence of it is that everything you're going to receive is immediate.
Correct.
And are you going to have the discernment?
Well, why do you think people have problems with their pastors?
Right.
Being dictatorial.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are stuck inside a hierarchy that the rest of the world goes, well, we don't actually accept that anymore. And we say, I don't really have a choice about
Well, we're
this.
called to discern.
Yeah.
What did it say? To test
We're
the
also
spirits.
placed over a flock to care for it and protect it.
So, I mean, I've wondered about that language of testing the spirits. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have, it'd be a question for people. Do you have the ability, what would you say are the tools of the trade to test spirits? How are you going to be able to determine if this is from God or from the evil one? And I mean, of course, the answer is to know God's word, but God's word is never alone. It's always in the context of the assembly where Jesus is gathered.
Right. And there's always supposed to be an interpreter present.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking foreign language is speaking in tongues, right? And
Yes.
that doesn't mean it's not English.
Right.
It's just like, I've never heard this before.
Well, I actually talked about this with two of my betters yesterday, that I can, I have fun with my Pentecost sermons every year, right?
Yeah, of
Where I
course.
preach in all the different languages, and they know Persian's coming this year, so they're looking forward to it. Add one more to the list, right?
Yeah.
But I noted that, and they understand this because we've joked about it, is when it comes to the gospel, though, it's always in English. I'm not going to play in the pulpit like this is a game, because it's not. It's a matter of death and new life. So I can play with the languages, but when it comes to the life-giving gospel of Jesus Christ, it will always be in the language you can understand, which is English.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can, quote unquote, play in the sermon in the pulpit, right? But there's a limit to that, which is, what are you doing? What's the purpose? And my purpose is this. No matter what language this comes to you in, the Holy Spirit will never preach the gospel to you unless you can hear it and receive it in your own words, right? This is the point. The gospel of Jesus Christ and the Bible in general has always been intended to be translated. And it's the only holy text historically that claims that. No other holy text claims it can be translated.
Yeah, you have to memorize the Quran in Arabic.
Correct. And the scriptures have to be memorized in Hebrew, because that's the, but not even the Jews do that, because they still have
Not
the Greek.
anymore, yeah.
They use the Greek too. But the point is that Christianity from its beginnings, so maybe just say the New Testament, not the scriptures, but just for Christians, we've always said and held to the fact that, no, our message is to be translated into Japanese.
They heard the apostles
Persian
speaking in their own language, the mighty works of God.
100%.
Yeah.
And Pentecost proves that. I don't have to argue that from speculation.
No.
Pentecost proves it. But yet we noted that's the purpose of Pentecost, is to say, Pastor, you can preach in any language you want, but when you proclaim Jesus, it better be in our tongue. And I'm like, no, there is no chance that I will ever do that to you, where I preach a whole sermon in Spanish and then say amen and look around the room waiting for affirmation, because they should all say no amen. And as my council president said, Pastor, I'd stand up and say, preach that sermon again in English.
No bueno.
And yeah, Pastor, that was no bueno. Donde está la biblioteca, right?
Close to Spanish as I can say.
Right, exactly. And I said, thank God for you. Honestly, thank God for you to say that to me as your pastor, that you would not allow me to leave the pulpit without giving you the gospel in language you understand. But notice what he's saying here then is, the whole UFO narrative is not to illuminate or enlighten or give you comfort. It's to control you. And how do you do that? You make it confusing and vague, right? Think about it this way, okay? We have 8K cameras that can record at like 120,000 frames a second, something like that, right? So when you watch like paragliders,
you're talking about the meme where it's my iPhone photo and then the government photo of UFO.
Yes, I am, and NASA's cameras that they have on their supposed, rockets that go in outer space. I'm like, so this guy is traveling at 100 miles an hour.
You have infinite money and you can't have a better camera than me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every video of Bigfoot, I have to go, is that pudding? Is that a tree? What is that? Well, it's obviously Bigfoot. I'm like, it's a blob. Like, what do you like? And why is it every time they're filmed, the person has Parkinson's disease that's holding the camera, right? Like on my worst day, in the windiest of all days, in my car, I can record a video
But the
that's
real
steadier than
question,
that.
Dominic, are cryptids actually real?
Well, yes, of course they are. They're demons. They're demons.
But giants walk among us. Yes.
That's true too. Well, not as much as they used to because we killed all of them.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Even my normies believe in giants now, finally.
Really?
Like even the normies are like, I actually believe in giants. Not like 50-foot giants, but the men of old, what is it called? The heroes of old. Is that what they were called? The mighty men. There it is. The mighty men of old were all giants. Nimrod was a giant. Gilgamesh was a giant. Like,
Oh,
like
and people discount that Saul, tribe of Benjamin, could be 9 feet. And we're like,
right.
Or
Yeah.
Goliath, right?
Yeah. Goliath was 9 feet.
Yeah. But Saul was like, tall as well.
Yeah. Not 50, 60, 80 feet tall, but like 9 feet tall, 12 feet tall. Yeah. Like it's every culture on earth has those documents recorded. Like you're going to go read the Comanches, go read the Navajo.
Mhm.
They're everywhere. The point is conspiracies. That's what these are. They're conspiracies. They're either modern conspiracies to say that never existed. But by the way, here's a giant white alien being. Believe in that.
Well, right. So in the case of what we're talking about with UFOs,
Right.
or with whatever.
Well, let me finish that off actually, since I had this thought. So I can talk about the Nephilim. I can talk about the Watchers. Anything that's biblical, I can talk about, have fun with it. But at the end of the day, the purpose of all of that is to say, unless an angel comes to you with a message, behold the glad tidings of good news that have come to you today, that in the town of Bethlehem, a Savior has been born to you, all that other stuff is just basura. It's garbage. It's scubala. But in Christ, we can talk about Watchers. We can talk about giants. We can talk about how tall Goliath was. We can talk about angels and lightning, because the Bible does. But outside of Christ, I just don't think we can, because there's no good news there. It's flat, right? That's what I refer to as a flat story versus a vertical story.
Yeah, so you're seeking knowledge, but not for salvation.
That points you to Jesus.
Yeah. But if you're looking just to the stars or to the skies.
Talking about money leads to more money. Talking about aliens leads to more talk of aliens.
Right.
Talking about giants leads to more talk of giants. What it doesn't, flat earth leads to more talk of flat earth. Talking about Christ leads me to say, okay, what does the ice wall have to do with Jesus? And then I can say to you, hey man, if you want to believe there's an ice wall and we're in a terrarium or whatever, good for you.
The dome. Yeah.
The dome, good for you. I mean, the firmament opened up at the flood. But anyways, the point is, how does this lead me to Christ though? And I ask that now because I love the conspiracies. I love all this stuff, obviously. But as a pastor, I have to ask myself, as a father and as a husband, I have to ask myself, is this a burden for my family? Is this a burden for my church? And if it is, then I'm not pointing to Jesus. That's the point, right? Black pill all day long, but at the end of the day, you got to go, but Jesus, right?
Of course.
And so,
and that was that's what I mentioned, my occasion to have weekly consult with Ancient Alien Man. Once you can be held captive by these ideas to the point where, but Jesus doesn't even trigger you.
Well, here's the thing then. If we take serious that what we're saying right now is that these UFO, these alien creatures are actually rebel angels, and you become obsessive in your focus on these aliens, well, we're saying they're spiritual entities that can influence you.
And that they can appear physical.
And you just open the door to them.
Right.
And again, even if I don't believe what you believe is true, right? As your pastor, I'm going to ask, okay, you're opening the door to these things. Is that safe? Is that safe?
What's the explanation of the first commandment?
Right.
Right.
No other gods before my face.
Well, and by no other gods, Luther says, I mean, he has the three verbs: fear, love, and trust. Well, the fear part, we try to soften that by saying reverence. No, it actually means like fear.
Fear of disappointment. Like literally, it's a relational term. It means the fear of disappointment. I just did a deep dive on that word the other day for my Bible class. But because they wanted to know, is it terror? I'm like, no, it's fear of disappointment because he's your father.
Right.
It's that, right?
Well, that's the right understanding. What I'm saying is like when you give over
outside of Christ, it's terror.
Right. Exactly. And if that's what you're giving to these visions or whatever you want to call them, that belongs to God alone.
Well, and when we read Luther in the Schmalkald articles, this leads to despair and hell, he says. Right? It doesn't lead you up into the seven heavens. It leads you down into despair and hell. But you're so focused on belief in UFOs and aliens that you can't take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. If I believe in UFOs and aliens, why can't I believe in hell and rebel angels?
And I wonder if,
because you have a narrative, a flat narrative,
right,
that has taken you captive, so that you can't listen to this higher narrative, this heavenly teaching, to say, no, what you believe actually exists within this cosmology and this story over here. But what your story is doing is pulling you down. And all I'm trying to say is, hey, let's get you out of that story and elevate you.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about how we're back to X-Files now.
Yeah,
but you can't help it for our generation.
We're Gen X. How can we
we're
not?
Gen X. The
Of course we're Gen X.
the narrative of, is our collaboration with these alien species going to either be our downfall or our salvation, is a religious narrative. And, I think that's why some people are fascinated, because they're still what they're ultimately looking for is hope. And I know sometimes the thing you're afraid of, you think might actually save you, right? So AI is going to save our economy, for example.
Right.
But it's also going to destroy our economy. You hear both narratives.
Yes, exactly.
And it's probably, there's some aspects that are both are true. Except for if you live at Lake Tahoe and you're not going to get any electricity anymore because of the data center.
Right?
It's like,
yes.
What an impressive thing to say.
So side note, I'm sorry, folks, just ride this out. This is
a
either your favorite episode. This is either your favorite
yeah.
episode ever or your least favorite. Legally, data centers are military operations.
Well, the one in Lake Tahoe is. Idaho
No,
is
all of them now. They're all classified as military operations. And they're defined as information gathering centers.
Yeah. So you've got
they're not data centers. They're information.
So you don't even
gathering
need
centers.
eminent domain then.
Yeah, exactly.
Military
you can't sue them, and they're not responsible to the EPA or anybody for what they do.
Yeah, I've watched many a breakdown video of people who tried to.
Yeah, you got one right down the road from
exactly
you going
trying to fight back, and it's like it's vain. Like it's all vanity. It's like chasing after the wind. It's like
so much so.
The legal force behind them is insurmountable.
Yeah, like we said, when you invest literally $100 trillion in something, do you really think that us not accepting it as a population is going to deter them? Clearly, they've already determined for us what's going to happen.
Well, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. So at least invest in it.
There we go. Yeah. Get the app that shows you what the Congress people are investing in and just go with them.
Yeah. Unusual Whales is a good site for that.
There you go.
They have a Nancy Pelosi tracker, so yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Exactly. Yes. That's actually what I was thinking of. We're both aware of her.
Yes.
And her husband.
Yep.
But it goes to the point that I think as Christians, and this is a meme, by the way, that Christianity is the original conspiracy theories. Like we're the original conspiracy theorists because we believe everything is satanic.
Well, and you also have, we have right at the tomb.
I should,
right, like
to qualify that, Satan is the ruler of this world. And his rebel angels are governors, and they have jurisdiction over places like I texted you about Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he got hung up is because Babylon opened their hearts and their doors to this evil angel that they gave jurisdiction to. And God said, fine, if you want.
I know he's a major prophet, but just don't read Daniel. Just skip it.
Right.
It's too weird.
Right.
It's too weird.
Right. It's the
especially
best.
The second half of the book. Yeah.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, those visions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a great point too, though, of if we don't believe in Daniel's visions, that we don't believe they're true. And we don't even believe that angels are real in the real sense, but rather like, oh yeah, I have a,
and that they authorize
angel.
Kings or work with nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then of course you're going to believe in UFOs and aliens and all this stuff, because again, there's a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. And so you're going to fill that in with something.
Yeah. Well, it's the Bilderberg group or something.
Yeah, right.
Which is like,
or Davos,
which is basically just another demonic council. It's just a way of saying without calling them demons.
100%. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some secret council of people that we don't even know that are governing all things, and like, yeah, just go read Daniel. Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Which is a curious revelation. I mean, because it isn't well testified to elsewhere in Scripture. So I could see, we could push back and say, well, you do get some in the Kings, right? You get some of it in there. You have that bit with Nebuchadnezzar, but that's Daniel again, so that doesn't help. Yeah, I don't know. But again, a false narrative, looking for explanations for things we can't understand. And does that draw you to Christ for salvation, or does it lead you away? I think for most people, it leads them away.
Mm-hmm.
because they're like that. The answer that I'm baptized into Christ and all these things will pass isn't sufficient for folks. You're not explaining enough of it, Pastor. Give me more details. I need the 8 seasons of X-Files version.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, well, I don't have it. I don't have that. I have what Jesus has told me.
Exactly.
And he said his word is sufficient. So,
yeah.
And
this is the thing, right? That I've been on this whole Christianity is weird thing
yeah.
when I lecture and whatnot, WYRD. And the fact that Christians think that what I'm saying is weird, even though it's all Christian history and nothing that I'm inventing, it's not modern even. And yet, if we talk about UFOs and aliens, they will just talk about it as if it's common knowledge and it's just commonly accepted truth. And it's like, this is weird. Like what you're talking about culturally is weird because it actually, not only does it contradict God's word, it defies God's word. And you're Christians. So I'm weird for talking about Christian things to you, but I'm not weird for talking about cultural things to you that you have accepted.
Right.
Which is weird when you think about it. WEIRD, weird.
Right.
Just strange. Because like we were talking, or at least alluding to, your destiny, your fate, who you will become in the sense of the word weird. You are hanging on these soothsayers and these seers, these alchemists and these mediums. And yes, they're journalists or TV reporters or politicians or celebrities or whoever. It's the same pattern. It's the same pattern that it's always been.
They wear different outfits.
Sure.
And the language is a little bit different.
Yeah, the clothes change, but the pattern doesn't.
Mm-mm.
The faces change, but the game stays the same. And yet for Christians, Christianity is weird and unbelievable and fantastic and fictional. But yet the things that are coming at them from their screens, they just accept as true. This is the thing I battle against on the regular, all the time.
Yeah. I saw this on Instagram. I'm like, okay, and right. So I mean, for me, I kind of welcome all of this. I don't know how you feel about it, but even AI slop and all the fake, videos and fake. That's why I say Instagram. I welcome all of it because the most trustworthy thing is going to be the gathering together with real people in real, social interaction, which, as far as the church is concerned, is what God or where Jesus promised to be at work. So if people are like not sure about if even what they're seeing on their screens is true, they're gonna have to seek the highest truth. And at least that's what I pray will happen, and that they'll be driven not into despair and into isolation, but rather further up and further into real interaction with real people. And of course, everything we have is, as we started way at the beginning, it's not purely spiritual. It's bodily and it's fleshy stuff. Not only receiving Christ's body and blood, but being gathered together as his body, the church, or into his body.
Has anybody ever thought, why is it that our president keeps threatening to release all the information about UFOs and never does?
Well, we get tranches. We get tranches.
Well, that's my point, though. It's like the Epstein files, right? It's just, here's something to distract you. Here's something to talk about.
Well, it takes a little while to generate these documents.
How dare you? That's right. Yes, all the drones in subsection C have to get all this stuff.
Did we ever? I know we did, but I can't remember now. What the big, the drones the size of a school bus that were flying over Delaware.
Right. Yeah. And one crashed.
It's like
yeah,
or the Chinese weather balloons. I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. Yeah. No, it was a weather balloon. It's like that worked in 1951, 52. I can't believe you're still believing this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But no, I was thinking about it as I'm writing up the explanation for the episode. In the last 3 months alone, I think I've heard 10 or 12 different politicians say, next week we're releasing the files on the UFOs. And then they don't. It's just, this thing. Here's a picture.
Well, and it was Epstein. I mean, that was a thing too.
Well, that's the distraction, though. It's like we're constantly being distracted, as Seraphim Rose points out, to control us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to in the end. It's just control. And people, again, are numb to it at this point. People I know are
you
just
can't
like,
control my mind.
Right. I can't.
Really?
I don't care, right?
Really?
But I wonder if the point of the control is to make you so apathetic and indifferent, like I said, that you no longer even care that they're doing it right in front of your face. Because if they can get away with that, then what's the next thing they're going to do in front of us that we don't care about? Like data centers, data gathering centers. And look at a grid. of these data centers and where they're built at. Look at the grid. It's a pattern. It's very clear, just like the Army Corps of Engineers when they did the roads during the Second and after the Second World War. Look at how these data centers are being built, where they're built at. Look at the
or you could look at
layout.
you could look at the layout of AT&T before it was broke up, or the Bells, 100%. I should say.
There we go.
Bells.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that was a military operation. Well, so was the interstate system.
Yes, it was. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that we could have warfare.
Just in case your town is invaded by the Russians.
We need to be able to get there quick.
Yeah, we need to be able to actually lock you down, it turns out, and let you.
Okay.
Once you see the CDC protocols, you're like, oh God, no.
Well, I mean, so again, with that democracy thing, and we want to be controlled. That's part of the.
Of course we do. We want to be slaves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's always that desire. It was good in Egypt.
Give us a king.
It was no, it was good in Egypt, right? We had leeks and
it was great.
Meat pots.
So much better than this.
Yeah. So and true freedom, I mean, doesn't exist, right?
Outside of Christ.
Well, no, in Christ, we want to be free in Christ, right?
In Christ, right?
Yeah.
Which means then, if we want to be free on this earth, we have to find a Jesus for us, whether it be George Washington or Pol Pot or insert person here.
Yeah, they didn't quite work out though.
They never do because they're not Jesus.
Right.
They're certainly men. They're just not gods.
Right.
But the priests tell them they're gods to manipulate them. So in another book, he notes that it is possible to make large sections of any population believe in the existence of supernatural races and in the possibility of flying machines and the plurality of inhabited worlds, like we read, by exposing them to a few carefully engineered scenes, the details of which are adapted to the culture and superstitions of a particular time and place. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Carefully calculated. But I mean, how else are you going to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
And we've discussed this in other aspects.
Mm-hmm.
There are those who understand you better than you understand yourself.
Yeah. Well, my phone certainly does, and ChatGPT has got me down.
Yeah, exactly. And I,
speaking of satanic panic.
Well, so you could say, is it an occultic, a secret knowledge of you? Well, kind of in a way. I mean, they do have you kind of narrowed down as to what your interests are and whatnot, based off of all the things
patterns.
you've said.
Yep.
Yeah, all the patterns.
Pattern recognition, listening to me. What is it in our phones now that tracks your brain waves so they know when your pulse changes that what you need or what you want?
Yeah, I don't know.
Telemetry based?
Something like that. I mean, they're reading your face all the time for Face ID.
That too. Well, the cars they just passed legislation about the cars now too.
Yeah, and these are all control structures.
Yes. And
people are like, well, I'm going to rebel against them. Okay, well, you're free to.
Yes, that's the devil's point. The devil's contract is you're free to choose or not choose this.
Right, but how's that going to go for you?
Yeah, you can walk to work. You don't have to use screens or the internet.
You can grow your own food.
We're going to spray you. But
well, let's not talk about winter wheat.
Yeah.
Anyway, because that's not working out. If you had bought futures in wheat, you'd be quite wealthy today, though. That's fair.
Yeah. That's fair. Anyway. What we're really saying, folks, is you need to become Christians because
it's, if you're going to be subject to a control structure, at least let it be the one the Holy Spirit has set up through.
Well, the one that leads to salvation
and that leads to salvation.
And
yeah.
You end up in a garden with.
It's like if I'm going to be under a spirit, let it be the Holy Spirit,
right,
and not these false spirits that are deceiving me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to be one or the other anyway, as we've been saying. Just like with the two words, you've got the two spirits in a sense. Yeah. Two spirit. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I don't have two spirits.
Well, you're the spirit of man. You're the spirit of
No, I know,
God.
but I'm saying it's the two S that they added to the list of alphabets people.
I gotcha.
Yeah. It was a joke. It was not very funny.
I'm sorry. I was thinking deep thoughts, or at least very shallow thoughts that are
Did we get to actually where he quotes some Bible? I feel like we should get to that.
All right.
Third, the message of the UFOs is, that'd be a place to start. Do you see that?
How far down?
Second, UFOs are mediumistic. First, UFO phenomena are part of the outpouring of paranormal events. I don't know. I went past the meaning of UFOs.
Back to it, too.
It's in part 5. You have to go to part 5.
It's so far.
What? No, it's okay.
So the important clue to the meaning of these engineered scenes may be seen as in an observation often made by careful observers of UFO phenomenon, especially CE3 and contactee cases, that they are profoundly absurd or contain at least as much absurdity as rationality. Individual close encounters have absurd details, like the 4 pancakes given by a UFO occupant to a Wisconsin chicken farmer in 1961. I don't know. It seems like a pretty good trade. You experiment on me and I get good pancakes. What's the problem? At least you bought me breakfast. Or more significantly, the encounters themselves are strangely pointless, without clear purpose or meaning. Well, you should have lived long enough to watch the X-Files. A Pennsylvania psychiatrist has suggested that the absurdity present in almost all UFO close encounters is actually a hypnotic technique. Yeah, mesmerism, it used to be called, after Anton Mesmer.
Right.
When the person is disturbed by the absurd or the contradictory, and their mind is searching for meaning, they are extremely open to thought transference, to receiving psychic healing, etc. When the person is disturbed, keyword here, disturbed, by the absurd or the contradictory, they are open for mind control, essentially. Dr. Vallee compares this technique to the irrational koans of the Zen masters, and notices the similarity between UFO encounters and occult initiation rituals, which, quote, open the mind to, quote, a new set of symbols. There you go. All of this points to what he calls the next form of religion. So it is a religion. And they're under a spell. Thus, UFO encounters are but a contemporary form of an occult phenomenon which has existed throughout the centuries. Men have abandoned Christianity and looked for saviors from outer space, and therefore the phenomenon supplies images of spacecraft and space beings. But what is this phenomenon? What is doing the quote-unquote engineering, and to what purpose? Today's investigators have already supplied the answers to at least the first 2 questions. Although being without competence in the realm of religious phenomena, they do not fully understand the significance of what they have found, unless you're Peter Thiel and do lectures on the Antichrist.
Sure.
Which is to say, they have evolved. Now they're not just mindlessly speculating or wildly talking. They've done their homework. You know, who better to be the Antichrist than the one who tells you what the Antichrist is and how he couldn't possibly be the Antichrist? Because why would he lecture on it? That's an actual
they always
quote.
tell you who they are.
He actually said that when asked, how do we know you're not the Antichrist? Well, why would I lecture on it if I was? Yes, that is a airtight logic right there. Today's investigators. So one investigator, Brad Steiger, an Iowa College professor, who has written several books on the subject after a recent detailed study of the Air Force Blue Book files, concluded, quote, we are dealing with a multi-dimensional paraphysical phenomenon, which is largely indigenous to planet Earth. The Canadian UFO Report, summer of 1977. Drs. Hynek and Vallee have advanced the hypothesis of Earth-bound aliens to account for UFO phenomena and speculate. I think the white men, the tall whites, are supposed to be Earth-bound. I think that's how that works.
No. I don't know.
Because I think the gray ones and the green ones live under the Antarctic or something like that.
Yeah,
Hollow
they
Earth
came
theory.
from somewhere else and they fight each other. And yeah.
They're interdimensional, or they came from across the universe and crashed.
Oh,
and
no, he's actually going to say that in the next line.
Okay. They speculate on interlocking universes in the multiverse of madness right here on Earth. So the interlocking universes are here on Earth, from which they might come, much as poltergeists produce physical effects while remaining themselves invisible.
This is Vallee. This was his big theory. Yeah.
John Keel, who began his UFO investigation as a skeptic and is himself as an agnostic in religion, writes, the real UFO story is one of ghosts and phantoms and strange mental aberrations, of an invisible world which surrounds us and occasionally engulfs us. It is a world of illusion where reality itself is distorted by strange forces, which can seemingly manipulate space, time, and physical matter, forces which are most entirely beyond our powers of comprehension.
Tic-tac. Yeah.
The UFO manifestations seem to be, by and large, merely minor variations of the age-old, there it is, demonological phenomenon.
Yeah. You know,
in a recent,
have you read any of the accounts, from even the time of Luther, so 500 years ago or more, of things appearing in the skies? Yeah. Yeah.
They're in paintings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
People have pointed this out in the present tense to me, but Pastor, there's a UFO in the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it circular? Is it spinning? Yeah, it's in Ezekiel.
Is there fire? Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen these before.
Right.
And what always accompanies it? It's the end of the world.
Right. And also, to be fair to then moderns, they look back at those and say, well, they were ignorant. They were naive. They didn't know these aren't angels and demons. These are actually extraterrestrial. These are otherworldly beings or extra-dimensional beings. To which I would then say as a Christian, yeah, angels, demons.
So what?
Yeah,
so
heaven and hell.
what you and I are doing by speaking that way is we're making. This is what I would suggest. We're making these non-human intelligent beings normal again.
Yeah.
Because as long as the church continues to deny what the scriptures teach about the spiritual realm, it will be a fascination to others.
Of course, because it's novelty.
It becomes novel, right? Exactly. Yeah. Well, so I mean that's why even if it's not a huge theme in the scripture, it's not the primary one certainly, but it is taught. And the angels watch over you. I will give my angels charge over you. Jesus even says it, right? You're quoting the Psalm. So you just acknowledge it and you say it's true, and that they also appear in physical form, which we see.
Right. And by the way, what's the name of the operation? What's the name of the government document that this all comes from? Operation Trojan Horse.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
Isn't that great? Back to Odysseus.
Let's not revelation of the method here.
Everything's coming full circle. In a recent bibliography of UFO phenomena prepared by the Library of Congress for the United States Air Force Office of Scientific Research, the introduction states that, quote, many of the UFO reports now being published in the popular press, again, remember, this is the 1970s, recount alleged incidents that are strikingly similar to demonic possession and psychic phenomena, which have long been known to theologians and parapsychologists. There it is, parapsychologists.
Yeah.
Mystics. Mediums.
Weirdos.
Weirdos. Most UFO researchers, by the way, I say that with love because I don't think they're bad people and I don't think they're, mentally ill or anything. I think
the distinction between a parapsychologist and a theologian is actually probably not that big.
As somebody who studied Druidism in his 20s, I'm not gonna be harsh towards people that believe in UFOs. I can tell you where all the ley lines in England are, for instance. There's some trivial knowledge that it can't help anybody. Yes, we all do things in our 20s. I read all of Carlos Castaneda's books in my early 20s, okay? So, again, he who lives in a glass house, don't cast stones. Most UFO researchers are now turning to the occult realm and demonology for insight into the phenomena they are studying in the 70s. Like I said, Satanism was culturally very popular in the 70s. Because he was seen as a countercultural figure, like William Blake presents him as, and Milton presents him as in that era.
Is there a sense that what we create with our mind, our imagination, right, with our mind, then is manifested?
Yes.
So
the Victorians, for example, are Lewis and Tolkien and Chesterton talk about how the Victorians made the fairies small, diminutive, cute Tinkerbell, Jiminy Cricket looking things, right?
So they become that then.
To make them less scary. So dragon, like one of the most popular Victorian stories about dragon, I can't remember his name, but it was basically Pete's dragon, like Puff the Magic Dragon, like Casper the Friendly Ghost type of thing. Whereas they took a dragon and made him friendly, and he was misunderstood, and the children loved him, and the children had to teach the adults that the dragon wasn't evil, and that all the old stories about dragons were just adult, right? That's the story.
Right.
Which is to say, that which scares you the most, you will work at to make not scary. Right. This is why, unfortunately, people go to like Yellowstone Park and try to pet buffalo.
I might be seeing
because Disney made them unscary.
And it said on the sign, "Do not approach the bison. Don't approach the bison."
No.
But look, I've got a really big vehicle. We can get close.
That too, right? And look, they're all calm. They're not being violent. They're not threatening us. I've seen I watch Planet Earth. I've watched Disney. I know how this works. And it's like outside of Eden, outside of Christ, do not touch the buffalo.
They're bison.
Or one of my favorite, I watched this guy. He's Swiss, but he's in South Africa. He runs a preserve for lions, right? He's a great guy. I love him because it's all charity. It's all donations. He's a legit guy. I loved he rescued all these lions. They all treat him as part of the pride, right? He can go in and interact with them. And you watch this and you think to yourself, well, if I have the right personality and I'm cool. But even like Forrest Galante, when he visited, is like, I'm not going in there. And I'm Forrest Galante. I go all over the world and interact with animals. He's like, there's no way in hell I'm stepping into this cage with those guys. Whereas the guy that's with them and raised him, he goes in and they love him just like a kitten, right? And you watch that though, And without any tether to reality, you think to yourself, well, if I'm cool with the lions, I can do that too.
What happened to the crocodile man, the Australian guy?
He got killed by a praying mantis, which I can't remember which comedian I was listening to. I think it was Norm Macdonald. He was saying, do you think that pissed off the crocodiles when they found out he got killed by this kind of prissy little,
What was his name?
Manta ray.
I forget his name.
Irwin.
Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, right? He was killed by a manta
It
ray.
wasn't Crocodile Man. What did they call him?
Crocodile hunter.
Crocodile Hunter. Yeah.
And yeah, Norm's like, you ever think when the crocodiles found out, they were pissed? Like, really? I had my chance that one time, and yeah. But you're like, yeah, I mean, he got killed by an animal. What a shock.
Yeah, it's like snake handlers are that way too.
It's just, you don't think swimming with a manta ray, it's going to harpoon you through the chest with its tail. But it did, But at least he died doing what he loved. And now his kid's taken over, and his wife, so God bless him. I think they're Christians, actually, so, But, no, when you interact with wild animals, they're going to do wild animal things on occasion, and you might die.
Right.
Because that's nature. That's a fallen creation.
And not just the big
right?
ones, even the little ones.
So when I go to a place where there's wild animals, and I remember that we live in a fallen creation, I take all the precautions to not make myself, who is at the bottom of the food chain at this point, available as prey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's grizzly bears here. Well, then we're not camping here. See how that works? Or are there great white sharks in the ocean? Then I'm not going in.
Right. So you want to apply this to demonology then?
Yeah. Don't play with demons.
Right.
Don't open the door.
Right.
Because if you think a bison at Yellowstone is dangerous, open your house up to evil spirits.
Right. So
which you do, how?
Well, that's what I was going to say. When we talk about like witchcraft and how do we say it? Satanic arts now in the catechism?
Yep, satanic arts.
Which actually maybe in some ways is better because it's broader than just simple witchcraft.
Right.
But, and I remember satanic panic, so it was like, don't use the Ouija board. But sorry, the Ouija board is legitimately satanic. So
yeah, even if it's plastic.
Yeah. So and it's sold as a toy.
Right.
Well, it's not a toy.
Let's go back to what we talked about last week because it's a kind of clear and obvious image. If Sydney Sweeney, the actress Sydney Sweeney, came to your front door and your family wasn't at home, right? And she's wearing a trench coat and she knocks on the door and you open the door and she opens her trench coat. She's naked underneath. And she says, "Can I come inside?" Now, would you say yes or no? Because I think you can figure out what her agenda is based on her
That's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Right? Would you let her in your house? No.
No.
If you had on your phone a naked Sydney Sweeney, would you let her into your home? The answer is yep, because I'm not hurting anybody. That's usually the excuse, right? If I drink in private, if I eat in private,
it's just an image. It's just an image.
Right. And it's a movie. It's not even real sex, right? It's simulated sex. Well, Tommy Tiernan, the comedian and actor on Dairy Girls, right? He plays the father on Dairy Girls. His wife and he were talking. And she said, we have a deal. You can be on any show you want. You can be in any movie you want, but you can't kiss another person that's not your wife. And he said, why? It's just acting. She goes, well, in a movie when someone gets shot and they die, is that real? Well, no, it's simulated. Right. Get it? What are you simulating? Murder. Well, when you're kissing another person that's not your wife, what are you doing?
Right.
You're simulating.
Right. And we didn't talk about that with pornography, but the connection of pornography and adultery is pretty direct.
Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty direct.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's covered because if you burn with lust in your heart for another woman, you're guilty of adultery.
Right. Even if it doesn't necessarily
Likewise,
lead. Yes.
You're guilty of murder when you say in your heart, that idiot. Well, if you're watching an action movie and like Sisu, right? And he's out there in the Finnish wilderness and the evil Nazis come to get him and he kills all of them and they're bad, evil Nazis. And you say to yourself, well, they got what they deserved. Well, that's not a revenge fantasy. That's murder. You're murdering.
The second
them in
movie
your heart.
was definitely revenge fantasy.
No, 100%. I'm saving that for the right moment because I got to be in the right day. I love those movies. But the point is then you can watch John Wick, he's called Baba Yaga.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're told he's a demon, but he's our demon. Like, no. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Period. It's not the lesser of two evils. It's not the Punisher. He's killing the bad guys for it. No.
It's like communing at the wrong altar.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you just happen to now carry one around in your pocket. So you don't have to go. Like I talk to my kids when you and I were young, if we wanted to watch porn, Well, you couldn't go to the video store.
It was
unless
hard.
you're-
It was legitimately hard.
If you went to the video store, it was in a room in the back with beads or some sort of door blocking the way. And if you don't know the person at the front desk, first of all, you would never do that. And second of all, you couldn't just watch it at home. It wasn't like it was just available, right?
I had
After midnight.
AOL, CompuServe.
Well, I'm saying before that, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right? You had to like wait until after midnight and have somebody standing to watch.
Well, you had to have cable then too.
You had to have cable.
Right.
And even then, it was just like, yeah, you might got, Revenge of the Nerds or something, you see like abreast, right? Versus then AOL comes around and dial-up, which you had to still wait like 15 to 20 minutes for something to actually appear.
And it was very low resolution, yes.
Oh, it's awful. Like just downloading a single meme was like, I'm going to bed. I'll print this off in the morning. And then with high-speed internet, though, and smartphones, all of a sudden, you didn't have to go to a store. You didn't have to buy it. You didn't have to order it. It was just there. And you're paying for adultery. You're paying for murder every single day because you're paying for internet. Now, theologically, I hate to break it to you, but that's a fact. That's the truth. He says it very clearly. If you burn with lust, if you call a person an idiot, that's murder, that's adultery. The love of money is the root of all evil.
How am I going to be entertained?
So I think, exactly, how am I going to be entertained, right?
Yeah. Where's my bread and circuses?
Right. And so when people say to me, Pastor, I know I'm a sinner, I'm like, no, you don't. You have no conception, because if you did, you wouldn't say that. The fact of the matter is when they ask me, why do you repent? And I go, because I pay for internet.
Because you know how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And I have teenage boys. And I'm a man, and I'm a sinner, and I have a wife who's a sinner, and I have a daughter who's a sinner, and so on and so forth. And I love violent movies. I love action movies. I love movies like Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts, which turns out everything in that movie was actually real.
I haven't seen that one.
Mel Gibson was trying to tell us.
Yeah,
and then finally he just had to tell us because we didn't get the point.
Well, he got so deep in it that he ended up a drunk. I mean,
exactly. And he talks about it now. Yeah. I think Russell Crowe got into it too. That's why he doesn't get big roles with that much anymore.
Well, that makes sense.
You can kind of see the guys and the women who fell out of favor because they just don't get roles like they used to.
And they kind of let themselves go too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But the point then is, again, what you focus on most you become that thing. And with it, whether it be UFOs, opening the door to demons, you're doing it. You need to be wise. I said this again last night. Be innocent as doves, but be wise as serpents. And I think what he's really saying there is be temperate, right? Practice modesty, practice temperance. That is, yes, you have to be wise. Know the enemy's tactics. Know what the evil one is trying to do to get you to abandon Jesus, to peel you away from the herd and attack you and kill you. But also be innocent. That is, realize, like C.S. Lewis said, if you're interested in learning about the devil, you don't have to go looking for him. He'll find you. And so if you invite the devil into your house, there's nothing stopping you after that from repenting, because God will forgive you. Even if it's the 100,000th time that you repented, he'll still receive you and forgive you. There's nothing wrong with anointing your doors and your windows in your house in the name of the Jesus, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit with the cross. Nothing wrong with doing that. Nothing wrong with burning incense, frankincense in your house and invoking the name of the Holy Spirit and reading the Psalms out loud, praying the Psalms out loud, commanding the evil spirits to leave your house. There's nothing wrong with any of that. That's spiritual warfare stuff. Again, we know Paul tells us what our armor and our weapons are. If you have the word of God and faith, you have everything you need. You have Jesus. But do not pretend like these are benign things, because they're not.
Or that your home is like a protected space, sanctuary.
Unassailable, right? It's an embassy in foreign territory.
Otherwise, why would you be praying daily for his holy angels to watch over you? If you were safe, right. Truly. Go
watch one of my favorite action movies ever, The 13th Hour, right? It's Benghazi, it's Michael Bay. I love that movie. I can watch it anytime. That is this Christian life in a nutshell. That is a symbolic depiction of the Christian life. You are in an embassy that is being overrun and no one's coming to help. And of course, in our story, Jesus comes after we're dead. The only difference between that Benghazi and us is that in Benghazi, the guys who died, they're dead. And the guys that are left have to hate Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama for the rest of their lives because there's no resolution to that story for them outside of Christ.
Yeah.
Versus your church, and I'm going through this right now, you're going through this. A lot of pastors I know right now are being spiritually attacked in ways that I have not seen before in many years.
I couldn't even imagine, really.
Can't even imagine.
No.
And to hear it constantly. from so many guys. One, thank God I'm not unique. You're not unique. But on the other hand, it's like, what the hell is going on then? Something big must be coming because we're all being attacked the same way. And just like any embassy in foreign territory, people are coming and going. It's the front gate's open, right? You have guards, but the front gates are still open because people got to come and work and do their job and go in and out and interact with the culture around them. But watch 13 hours, like watch that, right? Watch about Benghazi, watch about the embassy that's attacked, and realize like that's the Christian life. We're not promised like Club Med, we're sitting in a lawn chair next to the pool sipping margaritas. That's not the Christian life.
I mean, I don't think,
but it is what Christians want, which goes back to my point about the Victorians changing the old stories.
it's peace without Christ.
Right. Is that we want to know that being a Christian is comfortable and successful, profitable, hopefully profitable. That's again, the gospel, the prosperity gospel is all. The prosperity gospel is, to me, is like the Victorians' handling of the old folktales. The prosperity gospel guys in the 90s in particular did that to the Bible.
But I mean, you can make Christianity palatable that way
Easily.
and comfortable. But I mean, obviously you have to remove the cross. You also have to remove the spiritual angels and demons.
That's why I think Jung is so popular, even though people have never read him. Like, just embrace the darkness, just embrace the bad.
Yeah,
right? It's very
do
Zen.
your shadow work.
Again, the Coens,
right?
You know, and that's where he gets it from. He gets it from Buddhism and Zen spiritualism. Again, he himself was an alchemist. He practiced alchemy. He was a mystic. He was really into the hermetic and esoteric stuff. And then he just wraps it up with his Roman Catholicism, which is perfect if you want to infiltrate the church, right? Dress the part and they'll let you in.
At some point we can talk about the astronomy program at the Vatican, but
don't even, that's a whole, again, we're going to have to start our own podcast.
I don't know.
It might be time. I'm just telling you.
I don't know.
Because
so what
here, I'll say this.
Yeah, go.
To those of you listening, right? And we'll go by the numbers too of downloads and listens.
There you go.
When you listen to this, if you think that would be fun to do a 6-episode miniseries this summer on all this stuff, right? Because this isn't the mission of 1517 and we don't want to hijack that mission because that's not what we're about. And we're talking about this because it's come to both of us as questions in the last couple of weeks in particular. Yeah. And it needs to be addressed because it's in the zeitgeist.
And it is a distraction from the gospel.
Super distracting. But if you want us to talk more about this stuff and go down this, and I'll say this, if you do, I only want to talk about stuff that's publicly available information. And I can say definitively on this episode, I have not talked about anything that is not publicly available, and anybody can look it up. Even on Google, even with censorship, it's all publicly available information. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. Because I don't want to deal in speculation.
No.
Because I think that leads people in a non-Christian direction.
And I know it is kind of a double standard because you've got, or at least it's a confusing one, because you can say, well, how much of Operation Paperclip is actually real, and how much of it is misinformation, right? And so, or Blue Beam, or
well, we can just look at the people that were involved and go, well, there they are, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and some of that is like time, because time kind of normalizes.
100%, right?
So I mean, we can talk about. Especially 20s through the 50s, I think is pretty easy to.
Well, even through the 90s.
Maybe even through the 90s, yeah. The stuff going on now and I don't know.
It's all, well,
because it's being used politically and economically. And
that's the meme, though. It's all lame and gay, right? It's all lame and gay. Everything's lame and gay now. That's what the boomers like to say about millennials. It's all lame and gay, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's derogatory and dismissive, and I don't like it. It's funny as a joke, as a kind of a throwaway, but I think it's dismissive. And like I've said before, in relation to shootings, school shootings and whatnot, as soon as you call someone a monster, you dismiss them. And now we can't discuss the origin or the motive or the intent. We can't discuss the spiritual reality behind what happened or the symbolism of what happened. What higher heavenly truth are we being taught by these things?
Just like I said, just the reality that that people we would consider faithful Christians have seen phenomena. I mean, that begs at least a conversation, right, or a discussion.
Well, think about, again, we're off on a tangent, but think about the Tennessee shooter from a couple of years ago, the trans girl.
Right.
She went to that church.
That's
her
cool.
whole life.
That's cool.
That was her pastor that she shot, and she went to that school. So we're just going to not talk about it, right? Why? Like, she attended church, which means at the very least she was exposed to the Christian faith. I can't say what her pastor preached or taught, but it's Presbyterian. So I'll at least say she got a catechism out of the deal. And she was at church and she was Sunday schooled and she went through confirmation.
Seemed like
probably.
a very Presbyterian place.
Yes, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk about, okay, what would lead a young girl to then say, I'm not a girl anymore, and then to go kill people? Because that's a big leap, right? To go from, I disagree with your teaching and I want to be this, I want to be a man and a woman.
Yeah, and then just leave them alone.
That's a big bridge to cross to, I'm going to get guns. A, where'd you get the guns from? B, where'd you get all that ammo from?
And then to kill
C,
and kill children.
And then kill children
Right.
who did nothing to you.
Right.
Now, you and I may see that news report and go, oh, that's demonic. Because it is, clearly.
Right.
But it's not clear to a lot of people. They're looking for the motive. They're looking for who's responsible. They're saying, oh, she's a monster, or she's a victim, and we have to, and no. You're completely, because you're not in God's word, and then out of God's word, asking the Holy Spirit to open your eyes to discern wisdom.
Well,
that is what
yeah.
What is happening here?
I mean, just a simple answer is that the liar and the prince of liars, the goal is to deceive.
Right.
She was deceived.
Right.
In many
those
ways.
children and that pastor were martyrs.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they were killed in the church for confessing your faith. The people that were shot in the Roman Catholic Church up here in Minneapolis during Mass,
right,
by protesters. They're martyrs, but only the Roman Catholics were saying that. Why aren't we all saying that? They were killed during the worship.
Because that's a higher class of Christian. We don't want to do that. No.
Right.
It's not a higher class, but it is a class.
Right. But I'm saying we don't, in the church, we're not having a theological conversation. We're letting the culture dictate to us the kind of conversations we're going to have, because a lot of people say, well, I just don't want to sound weird. I don't want to sound like I'm crazy.
I get that. I get that. But now you're of the world, not just in the world.
But again, as the poet said, when they look in his eyes, they say this, they look in his eyes and they see the liminal. They say, this man is drunk. Someone call the police.
Yeah.
Right. That's Hafez.
Yeah.
My beautiful Hafez. Right. I gotta go to Sufi poets at this point in my life, because Christians aren't talking about this stuff. Like, that's where I'm at. 13th century.
And maybe it isn't the primary
poets.
conversation we have. I get that.
Right.
It is
right.
Secondary. That doesn't mean, secondary isn't neglected.
Do you have the ammunition to fight off the evil one and his soldiers, his foot soldiers, when they come to your door? And the answer is no. Most Christians don't.
Well, most Christians are outside of Christ. That's
what I'm saying.
That's hard to say, but
you don't have baptism to fall back on. You don't have any water. You don't have the body and blood physically. Again, his love isn't edible to you.
Right.
It's just an idea.
Right.
And
how does that? Christ equipped you. It's described as breastplate, armor, sword.
Yeah. All of it.
All of it is spirit and word, though.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't even say, in the way of the scriptures, what you're experiencing. You need to be able to describe it that way.
Right. Sell everything you have and buy a sword, he says. And then go preach the gospel. That's wild. Sell everything you have, get a sword. Don't worry about eating or anything. They'll take care of you when you get there.
Yeah.
Why do I need
just
a sword?
Just a knapsack and a sandal.
Yeah. Why do I need a sword? Because not everyone will receive you. And not everyone will say, just go away. We don't want to listen to you.
Or you could say the sword is the word too.
No, he literally says, sell everything you have and buy a sword.
No, I know.
And that's why Peter has a sword in the garden, though. And I was listening to such a great commentary.
Why did they have two swords in the upper room?
Yeah.
I don't even...
Well, no, what's crazy, though, is did Jesus set Peter up from the very beginning by telling him to go do that so that he can make an object lesson out of Malchus's
just
servant?
like with Judas.
You're like, God, that's foxy. That's so foxy.
I know it's hard with Judas, but that's the truth.
It is foxy, though, that he's like, I need you to do this so that later I can teach you something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, two swords is enough. Thanks, Peter. That'll work.
Right. Hey, wait. In our doctrine, we have two swords. We have the
two-edged sword.
Secular and the spiritual. We have the earthly and the heavenly.
That's the Roman Catholic argument, actually.
How dare you bring that up?
No, that's what the Pope said.
I know it is. I know. It's
century.
the king's two bodies. It's two swords. I know.
No, I think I think it's true, but but he said that means the Pope gets both swords, and you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. No, not the red shoes. So yeah, if you guys want us to do a mini series this summer that's independent of what we do here at 1517,
maybe that would work out.
It'd be fun. Because I got 2 new podcasts coming up, and we'll
how many
talk about
podcasts
those another day.
do you need?
Well, as ministries of my congregation, one for children and another one for men.
Yeah, I know. I like the ideas.
I need to bring back the men's conference format for now. And down the road, if the podcast does well, then maybe I'll do in-person men's conferences again.
Yeah.
But man,
We could use it. I mean, we've
telling you,
been
men are
doing,
so demoralized.
we've been doing the for a year now, right?
Yeah.
Once a month, getting together, food, and
I'm just saying, men are so demoralized, so disenfranchised, and just so pussified. In the last week, I received word through members of my church who talked to former members of my church that the men miss coming to church, but their wives won't let them. Those are the words. I'm not paraphrasing. Those are the words that were said to me. My wife won't let me come.
and it means
And I'm like,
specifically
wait,
your
what?
church. I mean, it's
Yes,
very
my
narrow.
church in particular.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
And I have other men at my church who come without their wives, but they're boomers.
Hmm.
Boomers will come without their wives and say, God bless you. You want to go to that church? I can't. I got to go to my church.
Yeah, I just have some of that.
Gen X and millennials, I can't come to your church anymore because my wife doesn't like it. That to me is a problem, because
It's a huge problem.
what is it teaching your children?
Yeah.
What does it say about your marriage? If your marriage is modeled after Jesus and the church, Ephesians chapter 5, you're divorced from Jesus.
Effectively.
And even though you're married, you're kind of divorced, because faith and then vocation, right? And so I'm going to start a podcast for specifically ages 7 to 12. I'm going to tell them stories, biblical stories, classic stories that they probably haven't heard, because so many children I interact with are illiterate, and their parents are too. Again, not blaming anybody. It's just not a part of our habitus anymore. And so I want to tell them the story of Daniel in the lion's den, and I want to tell them Beowulf, and I want to tell it to them in 20-minute or 30-minute chunks, right? I want to teach them and get them excited to read stories again, so that their life has a meaning and a purpose, and they can see there's more than just what's on your screen.
Yeah.
TikTok is not the be all end all. And for men, same. I'm going to read Robert Bly. I'm going to read Hafez. I'm going to read the Bible about Joshua, these kinds of things, and say, this is what masculinity is. This is a chivalric way. I'm going to read Parsifal. Here's what chivalry teaches us as men. Don't listen to Jordan Peterson. He's wrong. Don't listen to Andrew Tate. He is a fool.
No doubt.
Like, what passes for masculinity today is truly toxic. It really is. Because there's no chivalry. There's no noblesse oblige. There's no honor.
You don't make any friends adopting that term, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is we need to go back and we need to ask, okay, for thousands of years, what defined masculinity? Because it's not what defines masculinity today.
Yeah, and it's going to be more or less in different places. That's fine.
Right.
I mean, to describe things that way, I'm sure that's true.
But chivalry is from the Bible.
Right.
It's taken straight out of the Bible. And again, we can bring this full circle now. Read Scott's book, Being Dad, because chivalric ethics are in that book.
And being family.
And being family. This is not new stuff that he's dealing with. He's taking up the new stuff and saying, this is false.
And he's doing it, I would say, less narratively, like you are.
Yeah.
But the goal is the same. It's like you can come at this from different perspectives.
Right.
Different.
No, he's using his gift and his abilities
right.
in a way that I think is beautiful, and I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think everybody should buy his books.
I think the key to what we're discussing is boldness, right?
Courage with compassion.
Right.
I would say it that way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Lots of men are taught by their mothers to have compassion, but they don't have a father to teach them courage. There's also many men that have a lot of courage, but no compassion. And to be a true knight, to be a warrior, you have to have both in equal measures. Now, courage, you can be born with that and you can be taught that. Compassion comes through suffering and failure.
I would say both are gifts of the Spirit too, though.
But ultimately, both are gifts of the Spirit, so that to be a true knight in the kind of chivalric way is a godly vocation, because it's all the Holy Spirit's work. It's all grace.
But I mean, courage, you need encouragement. So it's external to you.
100%. You need your mentors. You need your Gamarets. You need your Trevisants for spiritual guidance. You need your Kundamars, in the sense of, or the Kundry, sorry, the virgin servant of God, to come along and say, hey, you failed, get back out there and wait for grace. You need Kundries. You need preachers that come out of the wilderness. And I'm not seeing it. And my mantra is, if I'm asking who's doing this, I think it needs to happen, and no one's doing it.
Don't complain. Do something.
It's me.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And
we'll see how it goes.
That's why I quit Warrior Priest, because I knew that was done.
Well, it had its
Warrior
place.
Priest was done.
It had its place.
It had its place in time. And this seems to be the thing that needs to happen now. And it's a part of the ministry of our church now. I've talked with several people, men in my church, who said, we miss Warrior Priest. And I'm like, well, it ran its course. I didn't really have anything else to say. And I think this is more ministry of our church. This is more Christian focused and more to the point.
Yeah.
No,
that's good.
And so more of that.
Nice.
So if you want to hear more on UFOs from Father Seraphim Rose, let us know.
We could do all the other occulty stuff. Because
You can do occult stuff if you want.
Well, I mean, he has the whole section on Eastern religion, which is also occultic.
Well, that's great. Yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah, which we haven't talked about it. Like, I mean, because
Huge
he's
in the
very
90s.
critical of yoga and
Yeah, in the 90s, this was huge.
yeah.
I remember that was
No,
all the talk.
we still have it here at the exercise place in town. You know, and you're like, well, I mean, I understand bodily posture and stretching.
Well, to be fair, Americans not only strip Christianity of Christ, they strip all religions of religiosity.
It's true. You take the yoga out of yoga.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Is their food good? Then we'll let it happen. That's fine. Yeah.
As long as it's halal.
Yeah. Dia de los Muertos? Oh, I love tacos. That's fine. Let them have it.
Yeah, that's right. A few skulls
It
here and
really
there.
is
No big
just
deal.
based on, is their food good? Then that's fine.
It doesn't make me feel good is really what
That's
I
right.
mean.
Does it make me feel good?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's the American way. So thank you so very, very much to everybody. I am, especially this week, the way that things have been going, I am so truly grateful for all of you and your support of Christopher and myself and our families and our ministries,
Yep.
and especially praying for us.
Yep. Thank you.
Please do so, because we're under spiritual attack and it's really bad. And I have no idea where this is going to
I would
end.
say it's the normal course of affairs, but stronger than usual.
It's so much darker than normal,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much more vile.
And it's not just
so
us,
much.
as you said.
Yes, it's coming full, and it's actually not even coming in sideways anymore.
Mm-mm. No,
It's
front
just
door.
coming right at us,
Front door.
right through the front door.
Yep.
So please pray for us. Pray for all those who are attacking us too, please, so that they would repent and return to the true faith and to Christ. Because this isn't about black and white and good and bad. No, it's when the devil attacks, when the evil one attacks, everybody suffers. And for those who attack, they don't know what they're doing.
No, that's what Jesus said at the cross. That's
Exactly.
right.
So pray for the repentance. It's the reading this Sunday. They will kill you and persecute for my sake, thinking they're serving God.
And
So-
rejoice,
and they will
because you
rejoice.
suffer for my sake.
And rejoice that we rejoice for your sake. So pray for humility, pray for clarity, pray for wisdom, pray for peace, pray for strength, pray for Christ to return soon.
I love it.
Pray for the conversion of all. So God bless you, and his angels guard you until we see you again. So peace.